Welcome everyone to day 3 of the PMCO UK Finals 2021 Fall Season. Myself, Alan, will join, as always, by Professor Tarzan, and also a quick nod to our partner Nemo TV, official media partner of the Pubg Mobile Pro League in 2021 season, and also Xiaomi, where you can enjoy that super fast and light-free Pubg Mobile experience on Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G. But Tarzan, it was an interestingly powerful day from, of course, RESQ, who rose to the charts, but a not so promising performance, you could say, from some of those down on the bottom of the leaderboard, despite the chances being there.
I think it's extremely worrying for some of these teams. I think we try to place ourselves in their shoes and think, how would you possibly react to a day like that? I'm talking about teams like Arena51, after a very rough day when they've got only 2 points yesterday. And KurdVictory would be another one. 4 points, I believe, in that day too. But you know what? That doesn't only apply to the bottom of the table. When we look at all the way at the top, after 79-point day, Syrax only got 22 yesterday. Of course, they're still at the top spot, 101 points, but very closely after them would be RESQ, that, like you mentioned, 61-point day from them. And for the side of TSC Legends, I believe is close to 60. Actually, I'm wrong. It's like a high 30, so almost 40 points. Still very decent, on par with some decent point per day and point per game. But you know what? Let's look at some graphics to lay out the day, because it's the third day out of 4 is getting a bit exciting now.
Third out of 4 days, only 8 matches remaining, Tarzan. With the masks, I'm good at maths today, I hope. Anyways, as we do have, of course, the second last chance for teams to not only in the finals, our top 16, to get that prize money, but also to, of course, advance to the PMPL Season 2, where only the top team can make it. And I think, to be fair, we've seen so far a very interesting first 2 days, Tarzan. I feel that now coming into the final 2 days, we're past that halfway mark. I'm looking for teams to really step up, find that consistency, because the points actually haven't been overall very consistent from any of these teams. As you said, Syrax getting 70 odd points in that first day, now only dropping to 22 in that second. And I think there is that rise from a lot of these lower teams just below Syrax, who have now that chance to really close it out.
Yeah, you can see when it comes to that point distribution, of course, we've used this for a while now, but I think that explains some of our confusion when it comes to certain teams still playing a very survival base game. I think you can see the top teams right here averaging, a lot of points, and sometimes we want to see those one-to-one placement to kill point ratio. So being able to get double-digit kills needs to be kind of that requirement, especially when we're looking at that, one team to represent the region going to PMPL Season 2 for Europe West. And of course, they're not just fighting for that. There is some money on the line as well.
$4,000 for that first place, precisely, Tarzan. 2,500 for second, and we go down a little bit lower to 1,700, and then lower even more. But also keep in mind that we did have 17 to 32nd position for all of those other 16 teams. It didn't make the finals, but still earned that $500, of course. But much bigger prize money and scales quite high when you get to those top of the leaderboard for all of these final teams. As we also check out the schedule, Tarzan, and exactly what matters we have. Well, surprise, it's the exact same. Erangel, Sanhok, Miramar, and Erangel to close us off for this third day of finals will be the same tomorrow. And of course, always my beautiful Erangel sandwich, but a little bit of a twist because Sanhok, of course, comes first.
Yep, and of course, Erangel getting more and more important when we look at that Pro League as well. Erangel is so key. We're looking at them almost doing double the amount, not just of Sanhok, which was the case last season, but also double of Erangel compared to Miramar. That's quite insane, if you do ask me. So, there's some more stats that we can look at, some more analysis, I'd say. Still got some tables to go through, between the two of us, and maybe for those who are watching, if you're very into it. But definitely when it comes to teams, we talk about analysis preparation. You may want to see, yes, they've got some decent points, but do they suck on Erangel?
Yeah.
Because that's important. You need to know particular strengths when it comes to teams. So that will be a very key thing. I think when you go back to just look at those matches 1 and 4 for every day, you'll be able to get some good ideas.
Looking forward to what these teams can bring. We'll discuss them in a little bit, but we're going to head to a short break and give us your sponsors. Welcome back, everyone, here to the PMCO UK Fall season. Of course, day 3 of the finals, Tarzan. And that was a short break, but now we get to discuss the teams and get into the nitty-gritty. And we talked about already who performed, but I also want to now jump into who can perform today in the present, not the past, not the future, Tarzan, but the present. And actually, specifically how, also not only realistically here that we've got possibly the rest of Syrax, RESQ, who can compete. I also think that when you look to that leaderboard, TSC Legends also stepped up a little bit when it came to that final day. Of course, you look at their 8th game, right? 1 chicken dinner, 14 kill game. Really put them on that leaderboard and put them in contention for actually grabbing also that first place as well.
I think there's more to consider as well. Like, that was, of course, a decent chicken dinner. After all, they've got more points in day 1, right? So if they repeated what they've done in day 1, they would be leading the charts right now. So consistency is something that's lacking across the board, which, pushed me to think I can't really back any team up today other than just wishing them that they've got the power, they've got the force to be with them to play their best, because very hard to predict based on the past 2 days. Like, hell, for the whole tournament, I would say it's been a little bit hard to predict. A lot of shaky performance across the board. And if there's anything that I can pick, though, when it comes to a pleasant surprise, I would pick those 2 bottom teams to have a decent bounce back, so that we have more competitiveness across like the lobby. That will be KurdVictory, Arena51. Both teams only got single digits yesterday, not even close. It's like half of the so-called single digit range, without saying under 5 points, when the rest of the teams at least got 22.
I think that Arena51 KurdVictory, they definitely have a lot of improvement. I'm kind of disappointed in KurdVictory. I felt like they were not too bad on that leaderboard after day 1. They probably actually had that chance to come back, but after 4 points in just those 4 games yesterday, they've really stumped their chances. I think now you're probably coming into day 3, right? Assuming that those who aren't at the top, who don't have that opportunity for first place, probably now look towards the prize pool. How much money can you actually get out of this tournament? Because mentally, I think it is going to be a little bit draining, the fact that they probably can't make PMPL unless they have 2 utterly fantastic 70-ish point days. But you've also got to think about the highlights of you can still earn as much money as possible.
Yep. I mean, we know the math, though. Like, sometimes that difference in prize pool is not that huge. I think that is how we'd like to hype it up or draw those storylines, right? But when it comes to the actual plays that really matters, that really defines the team, or when we talk about analyzing their style, so that to see whether they actually have the chance to stand against the other teams from Western Europe, those plays really need to come through. There's so many, I'd say, mistakes still that is going to define them, or will be to our worry. Right, but right now it's for them to fix and for them to show us that they've learned.
Already jumping into that first game, and of course Xiaomi, where you can enjoy that super fast and lag-free PUBG mobile experience on Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G. And Tarzan, also that blend path looking smooth as it comes down from the north side to the south Primorsk to end us off at the start of this first game. But also towards that zone. I think we've seen this kind of playing path beforehand yesterday. Very interesting in a way that a lot of teams did avoid that western side of the map. Still opting to go for that east, but actually as a result, there's a lot of congestion through that eastern side. I mean, we also saw congestion on Severny. Not going to see teams there anymore. So I feel that we are starting to see at least some adaptation from some squads.
I think it's very interesting playing path that in the way that it mimics Game 4 yesterday. So we're just going to go back and remind everyone how, like, what happened yesterday. When it comes to getting 0 points, right? We've got KurdVictory, like 0 placement points, I should reiterate. KurdVictory, Team Savage, 1802, and Syrax were the 4 that didn't get any placement points. But of course, Syrax got those like 6 kill points, and a lot of those early kills did not happen. No, it's true. I say didn't happen until that mid game, like for Syrax, but for the other teams, it's a little bit about that early congestion, right? So we're seeing some difference when it comes to those drops coming through. We know 777 causing a little bit of drama around that apartments area because traditionally, I should say, or historically, they are a Novo team. So they now can't really quite reach there. But this is something that we looked at kind of seen already yesterday. If it's not against example UK, it would be Conqueror.
Fortunately, though, Kind Boy already in the drum in the heat. Oh, 777, but they can't seem to drive him over. And now also TSC Legends. They're Kind Boy. It's everyone trying to grab his first kill. It's every single vehicle on the grassland. But Kind Boy is panicking. He's dodging them all. As he is still alive for now, but the shot's coming through from Brujo. She's confirmed the knock through. There it comes in. 777 do actually steal it away, but TSC, they grab the kill more importantly. So they take the point. A little bit of contention, a little bit of heat, but of course, albeit TSC win out in that trade, I think also, to be fair, you have to then be adaptive, considering that now you've also got Jaja there, and you also got Londo on the opposite side. There's a lot of going to be potential skirmish here in that early game. But Jaja already driving over 777, trying just to upset them. But I think that's risky, considering he is on his own.
Well, it's a little bit of a delayed looting phase, like with this little bit of shenanigans, to be fair. Like we can see 777 decided not to, fight for that car running over on that player. So that will be a little bit of a split for the team. We can see Siren heading towards the south from that, but the rest is still sticking around. So that will be a different situation. It seems like they will just pick up everyone, 3 in a car to head down to the south side once again. Game for yesterday, very similar playing path. The start 777 got 1 placement point and 3 kill points. So they need to think about that pacing once again. We mentioned if they study the map or drops well enough, there are more options than heading all the way to Novo.
I love this adaptation, though, coming through for 777. I think that it was very smart to be quick in that situation, because if you're not quick, of course, you see TSC Legends, they start to go on that hunt for you because they know that their TSC are that very aggressive team. So I think that, again, 777, but making those different decisions, albeit is going to be tough to try find that new location, you are going to feel at the beginning behind when it comes to that losing phase, but it's still not over. We're just in the early stages of game 1. I think with 777, they have made that right decision. Not so much so, really, unfortunately, for KurdVictory, because they are, again, missing their 4th player here, Tarzan, and they're not going to, I believe, have... Oh, no, there they are. Akara is there, because I was scared, man. We saw Miramar yesterday. Yeah. They only had 3 players. It felt like they were giving up, but what I am glad about here is KurdVictory. They're stepping back in as a 4, and they're saying, well, yes, we got 4 points yesterday, but we can still come back with a little bit of a fight today.
Yeah, I think the interesting here over at North Georgiaport as well is the fact that they dropped very close to Gaijin Seraphim. So the question really is for Gaijin Seraphim, like as a team that had that experience, at least for half of the squad, like in the PMPL, like coming in to share a city, like with a team that's pretty much at the bottom there. Like this is where you start your game well, by, acknowledging or outpacing the other team. Like now that you're very much on that western side, can you maybe get your early kills just around Georgiaport before moving in? I think that will be something that I want them to do, but I think the team still looks like they need a little bit more time to gel, to build that synergy before really reaching to the level of gameplay that we expect of them.
Syrax as well, stepping over in that South Island. Obviously have made that rotation through because the playing path wasn't so kind to them. Probably did dip around that western bridge, and they do feel a little bit behind as we see in that looting phase. I think that, again, we're probably seeing now, and I appreciate this, respect coming through in the early game, particularly in this 3rd day, because I don't really love to see all these fighting happen on the early start of the game, and I like to see teams try to go for survivability in the initial stages and then get that better position in the zone. I feel that when you start to see teams fight early on, it does get a little bit scrappy, and you have seen clearly already in these finals there was mistakes being made by teams making that lack of information and just going head first.
Yep, and we talk about pacing all the time, right? So not just Syrax, because Syrax are just picking, like just really wanting to go to the South Island anyway, so they got their cars, drove there and drove back. Well, Arena51 on the other hand, like is given like for this position in Primos. This is their job, no one's going to contest that, but for some reason, like we mentioned, if you give them this comfort, it seems like it doesn't do them any good. Like for those 2 days in the group stage, in those 2nd and 3rd day of groups, they did so much better with averaging at least 10 points per game in those 2 days. And because we have so much emphasis on Erangel as well, so they must have done Erangel decently well, like across the board. But for those games, they didn't get Primos easily. They're forced to go for something else, and they made it work. So that is still a point that I want them to think about. They could say it's luck or whatnot, but whatever they decided to do still yesterday was not working.
Unfortunately as well, and these camera people, they read their mind, Tarzan, to me here, because I was just about to mention 1802 and actually how they were third coming in after that first day of games, and 1802 looked very strong in the groups as well, to be fair, but now coming in after that second day, they've slipped significantly, all the way down to 9th position, 55 points only. I mean, their results, 11th, 9th, 5th, yeah, sure, 14th as well in that final game. It was not a clean series of matches yesterday.
I think it's just a very huge difference, like compared to that group stage. It could be a different type of style. We talk about how you don't get to just test and have a different combination of teams when it comes to that finals. It's the same 16 teams, so maybe that is something that cause some mental block. Sometimes when everyone's trying to study and trying to prep and you can't quite find the best way to do that efficiently, it can really stumble you. Now, after all, they get those 22 points yesterday, and it's just a little bit low compared to 33, which is what they've got in the first, but nothing like what they've done in group stage. So quite a few things to fix. After all, we're just halfway through, so there is still a chance for them to redeem themselves.
Also, who I think I'm most surprised, particularly about Erangel, and we talked about those maps as well, was also Spill. And Spill, considering in that group stage, right, they picked up plenty of chicken dinners on Erangel, and they looked really strong. And I think that Spill really surprised us, particularly coming towards the end of the group stage, about how strong they were. I mean, I've obviously had the gratitude of watching them previously in summer, also in their own scrims and tournaments, but I've actually expected a little bit more coming through from them. Of course, they have made finals in their first bout at PMCO, but I'm looking forward to that little bit more. I mean, yes, they're at the bottom of the leaderboard, but we always say, and I want to be positive today, I'm going to try my best, Tarzan, that 14th is going to be somewhere which is a lot of growth, and there's a lot of room still to climb up, and I think that Spill can do that. They just need to try, I think, hone it together, because when it comes to their rotations, that's been the thing that's really been letting them down. Their rotations have been quite poor when it comes to that mid portion of the game, and I want to see how they can start to improve from that and try to be a little bit careful when they're coming into zone and giving that respect that is deserved of other teams.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the ability to, right? Like, they were ranked 5th when they qualified for the finals, and especially that 60-point day in the second day of their groups, that was really leaving a good impression, but they need to be able to do that consistently now that we've got that phase 2. Going over to the southwestern side a bit more, Gatkafield's definitely in there. We've still got Ferrypier in, and that whole Pochinki city is in. I think this is slightly more eastern compared to the other southwest circles that we've gotten in the past, Island Wolf, and that allows quite a lot more power positions to be played, around Potato Hill and all that segment from there all the way to the coastal line. So quite forgiving, if I do say so myself. I mean, if they really want to hang, they can go all the way to the top, to that northwestern part over in Everest. But so options are definitely there, and we can't know for sure where the next one's going to go. So maybe mid-zone, or should I say scouting within the phase, is very important. So the conventional move, like on the new circle, then you move to a new spot and you stop if it looks good. Like that type of, thinking and macro plan is getting a little bit old and maybe not quite flexible enough.
Fortunately, as two are going to lose down one to RESQ. That fight was around them, and also Conqueror seemed to be joining into the party. But I also want to quickly highlight as well the fact that also you mentioned these power positions, but all of these power positions, including also those woodlands and those ridges just towards the south side, besides Quarry, also on the edge of zone. Every single power position that we have talked about is on the edge, in whatever direction it may be. And I think this is something interesting for these teams to say, do you play that edge style, or do you go for that more risky play towards the center and try to play for the center of zone, because that center itself is going to be really quite open, to be fair. I mean, yes, you've got, I think, the side of the chopsticks, you've got a little bit of Gatka to contend with. There are some buildings there for protection, but it's not nearly as safe as those edges, as we say.
Yep, and I completely agree. I think the key thing would be to find some of those positions, although being on that edge still give you info towards that center, so you can almost for sure know, or with high level of certainty, to know that that is maybe the next place to call home. But on that kill feed, of course, we've seen some casualties coming through already. Example, UK, the first one that we saw earlier, but Woman for Victory will be suffering at the same time. And a little bit of crash between Team Savage as well from their position against RESQ, which makes sense, like they're holding a western side compound, and then RESQ is a South Georgia-able team. So we need to find out what's going to go on. This could be a little bit of that stalemate, if I do say so myself, and very prone to third party in a way. If you just focus on the other team that you already know is there, shots can come from the northern side for those who pulled through from Headshot Hills or even from the Church of Pochinki. So it's still very volatile, and we are waiting for that shift. Crazy, to be fair, for Gaijin's rotation. I didn't think that they would go for something so wide all the way to Rozok from North Georgia Pool, but this circle is pretty nice to them. They may be the first one who can get to that Potato Hill. That is an eastern shift with basically all the water gone.
I'm really worried now for these teams on that western side, though, Tarzan, because you go potentially in Pochinki, that could be an option for you, make SLA more northern rotation. Coming down to the south, though, that coastal line, I think it's a little bit harder, and considering that if they are going to be late, they are going to be far from entering into zone, it's of course going to be natural that you're going to have to fight your way in, because all of these teams, they're already in those locations. Unfortunately, Uncle, they just took that position away for 777, but we're still looking for that fight. And Brait on his own will be Uncle Saint, though, tapping down UV. For now, already going to be one down, but also Uncles. They are one down too. Also triple taking through Team Savage in the backdrop of that kill feed. And a revive, more importantly, comes through onto Sauron. But Saint looks to be cooking another one. Will it be on target again?
I think it's worrying the way that 777 is playing that one. If they really take that aggression upon the knock, the Uncles can get so much done, because like 777 is not really in place to protect their teammates. The support's extremely far. Boss need to come in, although they're still going to hold this one. Boss trying to get those angle, not easy to deliver though, especially if he ever get crashed. So I think parking the car in the right direction is important. But TSC, they've got a decent position. They want to rotate even further, and now that's a crash. 2 for 2 at the moment, but it's just knocks.
Fortunately, TSC, though, for them, they are knocked. But the other side of that, the gratitude of also taking through those knocks onto Team Savage. So actually be able to buy some time. But Team Savage, they are up quickly. And Paraboy is looking for, again, another series of knocks. Londa does take now Brait back as well in the kill feed. So still the fight between 777 and also Uncles playing out. But for now, also TSC Legends, they have that stronghold. They have all, again, 4 members back up health. Being with Paraboy going way far out. I feel like almost Team Savage are trying to dip from this fight, but where are the vehicles, Tarzan? When you said Paraboy is so far away, you're literally giving yourself only that option to fight, but Paraboy not there if TSC, they decide to push. And I think they could find that angle where Paraboy can't take that fight, and neither can really Uncles, because that angle where they can't help Saint and neither El Chapo. Uncles going to be wide, 777. They just outplay them when it comes to Uncles missing out on their own positioning.
Yeah, and Boss is just from that watchtower allowing that crossfire and will continue to hold that spot. Like, this one is going to be interesting. That will be it done. If they know the kill feed, they know it's just one on this side, because the off angle's been really showing his position for the flank. Here comes a crash. That will be one to return, but that is not going to be anywhere useful. Paraboy on his own on the outskirts, too far to support.
Oh, and unfortunately, another 2 knocks against him. Paraboy is not going to be there as well. It's a trade, 2 for 2. But as we said, Paraboy, outside of the fight, it creates problems for them because they're not playing really is that 4-man squad. And this is, again, the problem that I talked about at the start of this group stage. Yes, you can go for these wide flanks. It can work, but you need to be an angle that is the most effective angle for your team. If your team get rushed and you're not in the right location, it's getting a little bit harder. TSC, though, do lose 1, but unfortunately, that cover fire allows now the extra 2 members of TSC to jump in. And again, they just take Paraboy away. So Savage, yes, you tried to go for those fancy plays, but you give it up 3 for 1 split and actually just lose everything.
I think there's a way for them to play that well, though. Like, Paraguay can just drive first further away from TSC, then slowly loop back into Pachinki. That will give his position a lot more, like, the stealthiness that we're talking about, right? More of a secretive side angle. And when he's established that, his team can just pull away, like, and punish TSC if they push over the top, but they just stayed there. So everything that attempted not quite working so far, but RESQ may get a rough game one. Some of them not right now. Triple Sports Cup right on top of them. Both teams will need to rotate, though the clock is on 0.
Pure Sports Club as well, taking what was their second day, a big improvement for them, big step up, but already big step up against RESQ, and Blood gets taken down by the Molly. That's a beautiful one, and now that tree will only watch as it is fire immune, but RESQ is not. And RESQ Coyote now in a little bit of bother behind, tries to take a beautiful nade onto Naz, but it just doesn't go wide enough. Now reveals his position. Triple B know there is someone there. And unfortunately, the problem with RESQ is now, how do you get back together? They're a broken two-man squad, and unfortunately, nowhere to really to go. Spill, nowhere to go as well. Will be dropping down in 14th, as their blood will also fall. Triple take another. Scepters heals back up, and that nade shouldn't be on point. It will miss everyone once more. Does tickle Scepters a little bit, but as that blue zone comes in, they're going to be flushed onto Coyote, but that smoke protects them, and they find them, and Coyote goes down.
I think there's a way to make them more efficient, right? The idea's there, definitely, but you know it's one down. Like, no, it's one up, I should say. It's time to go. Look at the zone being so painful. That is the hesitation there that's costing them so much. Of course, the Met's still there. They can still come in with the blue. On the other side, Prince is not so lucky, and Syrax once again have a tough start of the day.
It just feels like it's a repeat from game one, though, Tarzan, where all of those top teams, they can't find their footing in this first match. And yes, they maybe find it later on, but definitely not here. And Gaijin also alive. I mean, you look back towards Gaijin's first game yesterday, where they took that chicken dinner, they took those double numbers of kills. And I think that actually here, jumping into this first game, they're probably trying to do the same. They're trying to keep that momentum, keep that mental state. And that first kill, of course, is going to help them out. They got that position, more importantly, in zone as well, Tarzan, which is a little bit separated from everyone else. It does buy them some space alive. Not so much, however, for Triple, who they walk through one fight into the next, but that blue zone is still coming in, and unfortunately, they're not inside the play area. They have to push further than TSC Legends. They know this. This is why they wait on the opposite end of that ridge. They wait for the members of Triple to push and try to walk into their phase first.
Very tough one as well. Resnov's also not trying to scout further and wider. That is the issue as well. Like, just not having a bit of a split decision coming through. That was just a little bit tough. Maybe the smokes for there for the scout to get something done, but BVOV catches that funnel. But you know what? Like, this is important for TSC Legends. Like, after all, I'd say they are still one of the most consistent. They are consistent when it comes to confidence of play. Try to say that, like, because Syrax, yes, huge day, but yesterday they play almost a little bit chicken in certain scenarios, like when it's something's like stuck in their heads that doesn't allow them to execute the best play. But 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very tough zone, I have to say. It's go time, and not easy to scout in either. A lot of times spend too much looking at each other. TSC might be one of them, but the entry spot has been established. The 1-3 coming through. Triple wants to open with brute force.
They are trying to open with brute force. They have to, Tarzan. That zone went away further once again from them. They've only got 3 members, so it can't make that fantasy 3-1 split like TSC are doing. But they will still go in anyways with a 2-1 split. Nash trying to wrap around the backside. And I think Jaja has been caught a little bit off guard. And you can see TSC, they're trying to make that rotation in, but he snuck away. And I think that Naz maybe has some form of defense, of course, with that airdrop there too. Arena51 still alive up against 777. Also need to both make it inside of the zone, and this is why also 777, yes, they're looking for the fight, but they're also, as you can see, trying to make their position inside, and they will just take down Triple. They upset away. Sauron takes one. Boss takes down TSC, and it's that third party that comes in, takes down Triple Sports Club, and TSC, they ain't looking so hot either, but neither are 777 right now, as those 2 knocks came through in revenge.
And that is important for some of these teams and maybe third party. At the start of UV, just like waiting a little bit. Need to get that pickup. Not going to be easy though. We'll slowly grab that revive. So comms extremely important. And in that position, very interesting to see teams not wanting to go to a more like high ground, more middle position. I think that is maybe a map knowledge issue. Like there's still very strong roster they can take, but that hesitation is definitely there. Conqueror is about to be on the rise, and it's about time if they can actually do that.
They are still 2 knocks though against them. They take down another. Bonzit now drops. Hisoka getting shot up, tries to go back into the smoking vehicle, tries to hide, tries to drive in. Of course, that blue zone is coming up now. Phase 6 going to shift away, and 1802. 4 kills, yes, they may have, but they might all be grab. It's now Loveco tries to panic a revive, takes down Hisoka as well as they are blown up from the rest of the zone. TSC strike from the opposite angle, and now Conqueror, they're down to 1 with all 3 of their players knocked. It's a long, quick panic revive, series of revives through from Conqueror to now also Jaja, Euphoria stepping forward. And I think with TSC Legends, although we're not in the zone, I feel that they have, of course, these 7 kills, and they can only grab more because they can gatekeep a lot of these people from their positionings up towards the northern side with this head, with this hill.
Yeah, and you know what? I love it. Like when people come in to this northern part first to know there's that little bit of high ground, relative high ground, a little bit, slowly work your way down the hill. Seems like TSC is exactly using that. And that is why they're one of the top spots right here. And I think they are also trying to catch every bit of funnel, knowing that they need to think about entry, but they can also sweep on the side. And that's what they're exactly doing on that western part.
Euphoria only going to have to wait for 1802 to show the face. That phase 6 zone will close in. And right now, as unfortunately for 1802, it does look a little bit dire for them. They've got no vehicle, no way out, no hope really is KurdVictory. Though we do take 1 knock, it is KurdVictory already trying to find those points better than for yesterday. It's not going to be hard to beat, but you can still improve. Of course, always so much. 1802 not going to be improving anymore, though it's now 7th position. All they grab. No kills went over those TSC Legends, so they go elsewhere. 777 as well, UV getting taken out by Example UK, and that 6th phase zone. More importantly, I think that KurdVictory, you look back to them, Tarzan, we said they're getting these knocks, they can only grab really more here because they have that defensive position all on the outside of his fighting. Conqueror as well against Gaijin, they're going to take each other out, and they're going to be broken, so broken by the time they even approach Kurd in safety.
Yeah, I think like Gaijin's style may not work in PMPL, but it's working now for sure, and that will maybe grant them the chance to avoid that fight early game when other teams are making mistakes. To lose 1 or 2 players allows them to come into the late game with that body advantage. That's them getting at least 4 kills, and Conqueror continue to struggle, but nonetheless 4 kills on board from those placements, but they need to get more, and a lot more.
Gaijin, they still need to get out of this zone though. If phase 6 is closing in, Tarzan and Conqueror, yes, they might be down to 1 player. Then finally fall. Now comes the entrance in. That's the nades we're looking for. That's the style and the skill that we wanted to see. Logan stepping up for their team. 6 kills already for Gaijin in this first game. But as we said, Kurd did a ones gatekeeping. Really, they are the gatekeeper here when it comes to everyone. Yes, they've got a little bit of a dip. They're in a slight bowl, so it makes it harder to really see where those players are coming from. But those 4 walls protection are doing massive work for them. They are going to have to walk to the opposite end of their building. No, as unfortunately the zone goes away slightly, but TSC Gaijin already taking out players for them. This is going to be a 1-for-1 trade.
Oh, it's very good zone for the side of Gaijin. If they do spread and control the northern edge, that will allow them all the sight lines, even for the entry on that south side. That is the landscape for this part of the map. It's going to be quite a lot of run and gun, to be fair. And then the side of KurdVictory really need to make use of their position to maybe farm a little bit. Like, this is issue with some of these squads. So they've got a decent position, but they failed to farm some kills. But I really want them to change our ideas, and we have those 10 seconds, and then it's go time.
Already, KurdVictory, though, they have to make some move because Gaijin, they're entering into that northern side as you worried about. They're targeted to make that spread. Unfortunately, also for them now, we've got TSC Legends to contend with all-in-one vehicle. Tarzan, this is risky. They all drop out, though, barely against the wall. They all survive. More importantly, can they fend off the backs as well of Gaijin behind them? KurdVictory on top, looks for a nade over onto Record, but it bounces away. Does not cook it right. That nade as well bounces away away from TSC. Yes, they grabbed Jarja, but only because he was so low. Example UK, they've actually been helping TSC. I think cornered Kurd.
It's a bit crazy. Like, KurdVictory got that spot, they didn't opt in to take it, and now they actually will be able to grab a little bit more from here. It's actually quite insane. They just rely on those hard cover. Here comes Gaijin, but it's not quite right. 2 of them knocked right now.
Already, though, Kurd is still keeping control of their building right in the edge of that zone. There's now also 777 down to only 1 player. Down also here, KurdVictory to 2, however. But we have, as we said, that building. They can still look to take out Selon. Yes, they will. And they will at least grab 4 for themselves. As 777 take 5th and 16 points out of this first game. Now also TSC, though. They made that revive once more, but only to get knocked once more. Example UK Naka with a help there. Quexer, they completely forget what just happened to them before, and then, well, that brain damage will cost them. TSC Legends, they get taken out with their own mistakes. Quexer strikes their 7. Example UK, they strike their 8. They take the rest of IC away. The blue zone, no, phase 8 is coming in 40 seconds. They need to try clean up this next fight. In Gaijin, they're the ones in control of the zone once again.
Man, like, the game plan is somehow working. Maybe it's just exactly what we talked about earlier. They're allowing other teams to make mistakes and come in with that late game power and numbers, but that will be KV needs to make out, and that will be 24 seconds to go. Reco here causing severe disruption, but got more than one side to worry about.
They still have to move up that hill though, Tarzan, and those smokes, they don't make it easy. Neither do Gaijin. Cronus takes away Reco. Now they find one straight back though. Naka on the back of the revive. Don't think he goes for it. Think he tries to take down another. Yes, he will. Snaps back onto Kurd. Second is all he's going to grab though, because here comes Gaijin. Lord comes into the shack as well, and they clean it up. First place for Gaijin once again, Tarzan. And I think, of course, we start to see Gaijin in the start of this day really step it up, but I'm concerned. We've seen this before. Can Gaijin keep this up?
I mean, we will know in the next game, because I think this style works, and it's kind of the old school style of PUBG as well, when placement points were extremely important. But in Sanhok, it's going to be quite hard. Like, sometimes the zone dictates so much, you can't really find a sweet time to enter, especially if you don't have as many vehicles. So we want to go and see whether that's possible. Like, after all, a very good improvement compared to that first game that we've seen them. The debut of PMCO, that was terrible in Zaverny. But this one, we could see their style in their very clear game plan, and it worked out.
Clear game plan, get some of that chicken dinner, of course, Tarzan, get some of those points on board. But I think also a very impressive score, of course, from KurdVictory, from Example UK, who haven't been so hot on the leaderboard, now stepping up in that first match. Can see they're, of course, taking their second and third place spots respectively. But TSC, also important for them, because with that 4th position of 17 points, they also strike ahead, and so do 777 close behind.
Very important for, like, Example UK. Like, to be fair, like, they've got these occasional big games, and be able to play confidently in here is huge. Same for 777 Esports. I know, like, the zone did a lot of damage. It's only that 5th place, I believe, but those 10 kills, meaning they're tied with Gaijin when it comes to fragging counts, and that's very important. We talk about how those kills really give you that taste of blood and really give you that confidence to continue, because it's down to those spray times, right? You spray me, I spray you, but I kill you because I'm better. Like, that's kind of maybe what's going through at the back of the minds of players. So that is still a very decent way to start the day. After all, look at that point gap from 5th, between 5th and 6th. 10 points right there, and that is going to shake things up.
Already, though, when you look towards those overall leaderboards, I'm thinking actually now Gaijin, who are very close now to, with one more good game, with a good day today, could still seem on top. I mean, that's crazy to me to think about what we have seen from Gaijin, but respect given where we have been able to pick up these big games, we have been able to pick up these points. It's just now down to the consistency again, something that we're really hoping for from the side of a team like Syrax, who, yes, they stepped up in that first day. They looked crazy good, and we could say, well, Syrax, out of the first day, probably a pretty easy PMPL position, but they weren't able to find that overall, and unfortunately, I am very scared indeed if they can continue to find that good strength that we saw in Game 1. In Game 2, we'll have to hope for it as we go to a break. Welcome back, everyone, to the PMCO UK Finals 2021 fall season. Myself and Professor Tarzan here alongside you for the action, and as well as our beautiful sponsor Xiaomi, where you can enjoy that super fast and lag-free PUBG mobile experience on Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G. Tarzan, powerful performance from Gaijin Seraphim, though once again, a second day in a row to secure that first game chicken dinner, again high amount of kills, but can he keep that up? Because now it's up to them to find that consistency. They're very close when it comes to getting to even that pole position on the leaderboard.
Tricky one, right? Because they've played a particular style that may not work in Sanhok. We talked about that already, but there is a way to adapt it to that smaller map. So I'm really looking forward to it, because having a consistent play style that you can almost consistently, somewhat consistently execute, very, very important. And they actually have a very distinct style right now. I don't know how well it will work, but at least from that previous game, it did like double-digit points as well.
I mean, I just want to get your thoughts on this just now, because for me, because I'm a little bit of a noob, for those at home, what is their style? How do they adapt to Sanhok now?
So it's actually not that hard to adapt to Sanhok. I think car priorities are important. When we talk about early phase strategic tanking and going for the white side, you just need to make sure, one, you have your research down, because the definition of those white rotations would be a lot harder on a small map that's already, allowing everyone to practically go everywhere. So if you don't have that info, you cannot define what's a white rotation when it comes to avoiding fights, right? So that's number one. Two, get those vehicles, because if you want to tank a little bit early zone, no problem, but that transition requires you a very quick one, and then you need to maybe send one to look at one center compound, kind of half guess it. If you don't have to, please don't, and then you can just crash, maybe take a center compound play off that. So that will be my way. It's pretty brief, but I hope you guys would understand that a lot of that came from the size of the map, really.
I mean, only 4K by 4K in your words, Tarzan,
yes.
Am I right? As we jump back in to that second game, of course, soon. I think also you look towards that second day, and only the first day here as well, to see, well, who did really take those points. And to be fair, it was RESQ who, coming into Sanhok, coming into Miramar later on tonight, who did take those big two matches. I'm wondering, can they really continue that? And can they keep themselves in the top of these overall standings as well? Because yes, they didn't have a good position, should I say, here in the first match. And now it is Syrax, and as a result, TSC Legends were ahead of them, with now Gaijin, as we mentioned, 777, right on their heels.
Kind of struggling, right? Like the side of Syrax, 1 point in that game, I believe. But TSC just finding the consistency through and really deserving that top spot right now. And we're talking about around 200 points, I'd say, and to start today with more than 15, I believe, that is the way to go. So they are on par to becoming our champion, but there's quite a few more games to go. And when it comes to TSC, I am a little bit concerned about them, because they did that drop in boot camp to start with, then they moved over to Quarry, and they're now splitting around docks. So yes, it's fine if you have extremely experienced. You can also disrupt the lobby a little bit when it comes to these adaptations, but you need to know the way to make these work.
I'm also impressed, actually, that 777 Esports are on par, very close to the top of that leaderboard. But unlike the rest of those top four, they've never even got a chicken dinner here, Tarzan. And it's all come down really to their kill points, because, yes, they are consistent enough when it comes to their placement points to be here, but almost 50. And, of course, they have got more kill points than even Gaijin ahead of them.
Yeah, I think they are happy with the points, just based on my understanding of the team as well. Like, if they've got a game with decent points and with decent kills, it should get them hyped enough to continue. If you give them a chicken dinner, though, they can completely take off. So we don't want to rely on those. Of course, it's important to find your way to channel that energy anyway. And KurdVictory actually have a huge bounce back after one. Yes, the zone did a lot of that, but they did, and they were able to grab some kills and make sure that they funnel and push so many teams away by playing that compound.
I think the Uncles as well, one of those teams who we started to see that rise. Triple Sports Club started to see that rise. Even Wizard Esports to an extent coming in yesterday with some nice matches, but also because they are slightly so far behind, I do worry, can they really be able to, as we say, find that position at top? Probably not I think now, as we said, it's about that prize money. Really, it is now between those, I would argue, 5-6 teams that are pushing at the top of that leaderboard who can take that one spot. Because as much as I would like to give hope to everyone, and as much as I'm trying to be positive here, there can only really be one winner. And I think that, of course, with this specifically here, TSC Legends taking through now 115 points, you can see them really starting to push that lead ahead and starting to challenge the rest of these teams to catch up.
And yeah, very excited to see how that goes, because there's one thing that really happened yesterday to become the theme of day 2, really, was when a lot of teams start to use a very open eastern side as their drop spot. I think it's a great adaptation. They kind of had a gentleman's agreement, and they just find a really good segment to be called home. But after all, it can be quite far from the zone. Like, you just really need to know vehicle spawns as well. So I want to see whether that's will be repeated, and I think it may, because after that should be a little bit easier to deal with compared to preparing for a hot drop like 4v4 or even more. So excited to find out, and of course those circle will be ever so dreadful, and vehicles is starting to become a very important part of this map, which was not the case in the past. Like right now, when that game style really come in, it's a very, very vital part.
Very vital for these teams as well to find that good consistency. We said maybe find that good game for KurdVictory as well, coming hot on from that first match. Tarzan as we drop through onto the second. And of course, I am excited to really see, can KurdVictory step up? I mean, they've already, of course, got more points than they did in that second day. Little bit of a yikes coming through from KV, but I always respect a good game, and I think that they can find, when they start to play on those good positions late game, that they can take those points away from other teams. I always feel like we're a team, though, from KV as well. They have that aggression and they have that potential and that skill to take points, to take fights from other teams, but they're also very passive in the sense that they're a little bit scared to take those fights. And I think this is one of the reasons why we don't see them at the top, because they haven't been proactive enough, despite what you could argue the base skill needed to be there.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of that all or nothing mentality. Right? You're either in fight mode or you're in sleeping and stealthy mode. There has to be something in between, right? We talk about what's the term? I've lost the vocabulary, but it's about, I'll come back to that. But you need flexibility. That is a similar term, but also, I'll come back to that. But yes, many styles in between the two, and you need to be able to master it if you need to grab those. Maybe versatility. Yeah, versatile is the term. There we go. And then this one really requires some, because we can see TSC definitely adjusted their drop spots when the other two teams, Spill and Triple Sports Club, have stuck to what they done yesterday. So Northwest Island finish can be extremely tricky. It's a different type of game, though.
Tarzan, what am I looking at? Why is there only one yellow dot inside Camp Alpha? Is Raccoon fell asleep? Is he in stealthy mode? I'm not sure.
I don't know what to say. I need to see the map. Like, of course, this is whatever you see, guys, is what we see as well. Like at the moment, so we will find that answer out together later on. But this is extremely interesting, or also confusing when it comes to this. Like, unless he's just a very good beta, I would say. I can't use the different way to say
We're
that.
We're trying to hype something up here, Tarzan. I don't think we can really hype up.
I mean, here comes the support, though. You can see it on the screen, just to his right side. They enter the screen just a little bit. Maybe that long-range support is possible. He needs to be the best in parkour, though, in buying that time.
I mean, he's struggling, though, Tarzan. I think it's probably going to come to rescue. Of course, he has to get up on top, so it is a sneaky position here. Well played for Raccoon. I think the best he could have played, but of course, they have to play that little bit of a ridge there. Of course, you can spray down so hard, of course, to take Raccoon in this spot. I think now it is time for Raccoon. Heal back up. Try to find really as best a position as you can. I don't think the Banshees are the right decision. I think that a med kit would have probably been better, but albeit they are just showing... Yeah, the support is coming in, and rightly so. Rescue with that knock also comes in. The molly on top makes it even harder. And now Raccoon, maybe he can take this fight. I mean, this is probably the most miraculous bait I've seen all PMCO UK Fall Split so far, Tarzan. I mean, this is absolutely wild coming through from KV.
I mean, it was good. He bought the time. Definitely a Raccoon for sure. Like, that's what he did right there. Just bought so much time. And I love this. KV is playing confidently, making sure there's support. But two to align for one angle. Not quite sure about that. Sometimes you do need more than one. But Raccoon is very conservative. Just don't even want to use that first aid when he could have just healed up and caused more damage. But now RESQ needs to hold this down. On the other side of 1802 clashing with the side of Syrax. So we may get to watch that a little bit, but look at that beautiful nade. That is tequila. That is yummy.
Tequila, oh, he is sipping many drinks of RESQ right now. A third already taken away, and I was going to hope that it could be that off-angle player to save it, but KurdVictory, they demolish RESQ here in the second game. There's going to be no four-man RESQ at the end of this, only a four-man KurdVictory running it down into this final RESQ member. They know exactly where they are, and there is no escaping it. Tequila takes another.
Wow, KurdVictory. That game really hyped them up, huh? Like, they got four kills right now. They've got 4 points yesterday, and they just squad right cleanly on that rescue squad. The team that got 61 points leading the chart yesterday have now taken down. Man, that is a very interesting one. Yes, and of course, we couldn't see the support, but the support came in, and they made it work, and that was clean. This side, though, Syrax, don't get forgotten, and you need to start to find yourself with your plays. We know this segment is where they like to control. 1802 is not a spot to underestimate, though.
And Loco trying his best to go for that escape. Will barely get away. I think Scythe could have clearly gotten that one. Unfortunately, they don't. And unfortunately for them, they lose out on what could have been. Now they engage onto 1802 because they have, albeit no vehicle remaining, they have that compound to protect them. So yes, they have lost one, but it could have gone a lot worse for them. And I think 1802, if it can circumvent around the backside of their small series of shacks and actually get away from this is going to be very beneficial for them, because then they can find potentially that reset and try reset for zone as well. Something we're also still yet to see, and I'm interested to see as well with that how teams will be rotating in.
Yeah, and I think this is once again those type of situation, right? Like, yes, Uncle's open shots. They now know, like, they have someone in this building. Team Savage will be very aware of coastline pressure. After that one, okay, yeah, the open shots. Even if you get a knock, what do you actually get from here? It's going to be so hard. Like, I don't see the circle, so I don't have enough context to say that. But that will be like Team Savage really grieving it, I would say, if they just run straight to here. And they are a team who would prioritize that rotation. We've seen that again and again. So that's not going to be an easy one. But on the other side, seems like KurdVictory on that kill feed right now. Arena51 punishing a team that is currently extremely hyped.
Oh, KurdVictory. It looked so good, Tarzan, but now they lose another. And I just feel this is upset after upset. I mean, KurdVictory taking down RESQ. Now Arena51 of all teams taking down Kurd. I mean, I wanted to see Arena51 step up, but I'm really surprised in the way that they did. And I think that Arena51, this should also instill some confidence, you gotta hope, into them. Of course, yes, we said they're nowhere near gonna make it into that first place, but of course it can still upset teams and steal more money away.
You know what, like, yeah, we're in the UK, but in our dictionary, the word consistency does not exist.
It doesn't,
at the moment.
Yes.
It does not exist at this moment. If there's something, I don't know. It's not something that I would enjoy, I would say, like when it comes to a new definition. And on this side, though, was it another squad that's been a little bit stealthy, to say the least? Yes, they've only got 17 points day one, but 36 yesterday, averaging at least 9 points per game. That is not bad, right? To come in with 2 kills on board, that can be a great way to start the momentum.
As well, here towards that northern side, I think this spill already a hard game for them. I mean, Wizard taking 2 kills away. I feel the spill. I think the spill really haven't found their footing inside these finals. We really hoped that in Erangel today they would be able to find something back. They fell out early once more. I am concerned for them, and I think that it just doesn't feel like cohesiveness as a team is there. And we talked about also the fact that teams needing to play as that 4-man, but they just don't really feel like they're on the same page.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's just very weird. Like when it comes to why teams play that way one day and completely the opposite the other. I think right now it's still almost, it would be weird to say it this way, but it's almost hormonal. It's like, oh, I'm so hyped, and they just go crazy. I'm like, I'm so good, let's kill everyone. And the other time it's like, why do you do this? And everyone's just fighting each other. That's how I feel like sometimes watching these teams. The fluctuation is so much that I fail to comprehend. But I think it's also very human, right? The scene is growing, and sometimes teams need time to find the synergy, not just in their playstyle, but in how each other work. As human beings, I think that's probably the hardest thing. And wow, Triple Sports got very, very dedicated to a late rotation round there. I mean, to be fair, today we've seen some very interesting things even on the PMCO Europe wildcard. The sort of 4 Romanian boys definitely been leading those charts. And when they seem like they didn't have position, they always have that heal strat in their back pocket. So sometimes these like late rotations wouldn't be an issue. And for this circle, still a little bit harsh.
Albeit harsh as ever, Wizard, they do try to close in, but Golden flushed away for now by Spill, is diverted once more, but it's still 3v2, and Deco, Real Joker, and Dragon all on the opposite end. Kelly Boy continuing to try to defend there, but I feel that just here, Spill. They're in a position that is always going to be very difficult. Yes, they're going to be close-ish to that zone. Of course, they are inside of it. But yes, they're also going to be away further from these teams. More importantly, should I say, coming in. However, I just feel that, again, Wizard, they also should be cleaning this one up a little bit quicker, if they can be that slight bit quicker. I think that they are playing a little bit too passively when it comes here, especially considering that they know clearly both of them are split in separate buildings. You can just 3v1, ideally, one member of Spill and just take the other.
Yeah, just use your numbers advantage, right? And just know the building. I hope they know that there is a spot like this that they can play, and use your numbers advantage. Like, that's it. Be close enough to trade if there's anything, but don't be too close that you just get naded together, right? And I think that will be the idea when it comes to clearing and when you have the numbers. Still quite slow though. Kelly Boy is using a bit of a sneaky one. So sneaky that he can't even pull it off initially. Now drop down will be able to get more maybe, but the answer is no.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. I think Kelly Boy, had he found that one quicker, he would have been able to take Dragon. Unfortunately, as a result, he can't take more with it. Unfortunately, there also Golden going to fall though to Roy, man. It just feels again here that Wizards, they're not that aggressive team. They're not aggressive enough, and now they maybe even lose another. Here, the revive also going to be allowed through from Wizard because they made their own revive too. This is really concerning. I mean, that revive shot on Kelly Boy should not have ever happened, and there finally they do pick up their mistake. Dragon takes it. Now Roy, man, as a solo player in a 1v3, tries to free fire back, but now Dragon goes forward, tries to go find the bait, but does get knocked out. They lose another, and unfortunately now, yes, they take the rest of Spill, but we lost 2 for that task, and that should never have happened here on Wizard.
That is the synergy issue that we talked about. There's a distance between the team. There is definitely a way to take down these solos without losing a player. The timing is so key, and when it comes to having that 3v1 towards the end, give one for the off angle, man. Like, it's down to these things. If you force the other player to play linear and allow them to do that, the shots can get lined up, right? But, you live and learn, and this time around on this side, example UK, a team that might be on the rise. Like, yes, they couldn't take away that compound towards the end, but we all know they love to fight. And this time, I don't know whether Conqueror UK are as ready, because they, for sure, couldn't stand some early casualties. Every time that happens, they end up suffering.
Ari already knocked. You talk about casualties. Danoka may be next on that menu as well. Conqueror UK struggling here against example. They smash down Recco. That nade finds it around the edge of the rock. Kindboy does dodge it out though. Now a 1-for-1 trade. Snowboy going in will confirm away Reko. Tries to find a little bit of an extra one, but no Naka from the long range and low ground will strike through the second. And Danoka on his own has to 1v1 Icy, but keep in mind it's an unfair player. And the second example on the backdrop, but will only confirm the rest of Icy away, be able to dodge out the line of fire. From example, inside now the compound, Snowboy, Ari, Hisoka, all now going to have to fight further back as, yes, Ari only gets knocked again. And unfortunately here, very, very low. Danoka is not there to help Tarzan. Yes, he has healed back, but he has abandoned his team and will have to abandon them further. I mean, going into this fight, it is insanely risky, and he's got an exit strategy already.
Very, very hard. Like I think there's something wrong with the setup. Like we've seen teams coming into here. Why would you hold this? Like if you don't have a 360,
just too aggressive.
Yeah, like I think when it comes to the peak as well, like example UK just reacted very well, and I think that's the issue though. Like when it comes to third person peak or whatnot, like when you're so predictable in that position, that is going to be very, very hard. So for a team that has set up with the intention to defend that hilltop or to punish whoever come close, Conqueror UK basically choked that one. Yes, I know they're trying to play wide or whatnot, but it takes a lot to go for flanks when your teammates are in buildings, right? That would be the key thing. Arena51 may be able to get the joy of seeing them killing another team because Danoka's last one standing, still northwestern circle, extremely hard to play.
Fortunately, Danoka tries to hold up besides Arena51, and thankful that Arena51 were not overlooking that. They could have just got themselves completely thirsted, but do survive for now. And I feel that it just all comes down to the thirsting of these players. I mean, you see the fact of Danoka going out for those kills. You see Snowboy going out for these kills as well. We don't need to play on these solo plays, Tarzan. And I think they're trying to be a little bit too fancy and trying to out-skill the other opponents. But as a result, they're not playing as a team. So, for example, UK, they stick together. They have these off angles like Naka taking down Snowboy with a surprise angle themselves. I think that it is unfortunate here that Conqueror, they're not really giving that respect to how teams are pushing up towards them. I think that had they just tried to defend that position, I think that should have been an easy fight for Conqueror to win it over, for example, UK, albeit it was not. Team Savage as well, holding still firm in the compound they started with. But my only concern is, this is only 4 buildings of loot, Tarzan. I mean, I am imagining they haven't moved so much since the start of this match, maybe just a little bit, but there's no way they have the loot capacity inside of their backs right now to be able to withstand a very long game in the multiple zones if it shifts up towards the north.
Oh, well, like, I think it's true that they are not very well looted because that is their drop spot, and the other side would be L compound or trifecta, however you want to name it. So with them being there, I think this is where we may see them getting tested once again. They love doing these things where it's a little bit half-hearted, right? Not having a plan B. Now they're out of the zone. They either just go all the way towards for that rotation and having someone potentially shooting them from the back, or they would just be stuck around there fighting, not knowing when to go. I think that's the key thing with Sanhok anyway. And the reason why we say vehicle is the meta is it gives you that extra time. Like it gives you that time to tank a little bit and still be able to outrun the zone, and it will continue to go towards that north side. So half of these mountains are in play, and that will be ever so important. B will be very, very cautious though. They know that they can't come close just coming in to the sightlines of this compound, and they can still open fire. I feel like I've seen this before. B4V against Team Savage, like 2 very different styles. One hyper aggressive, the other one's just very defensive and reactive. 4x1 split. Whoever gets pushed in the particular building, I really doubt that the teammate will be able to provide enough support.
But the fire is there, and I think they tried to go for those shots, so we may have just given their position away. You can see Team Savage, they are starting to begin to move. Yuri was allowed to escape from the backside. Shadow inside their own shack for now. You gotta think that, well, Shadow, they probably are the most vulnerable here. That nade coming over the top, does it strike in the window? It take down Power Boy as well. Shadow should be naded, barely dodges out in time. Does spot it just as the blue zone closes in, but now Knight with that extra angle, with that initial knock, They will burn into Molly, and it burned down Shadow with it. Jimmy is confirmed in the blue, however. Rupo from the back end of the hill. Just strike one back, but there are only 2 remaining. Born for victory. We also have 3, but keep in mind, 2 back in the blue is a 1v1 as Hilu tries to snatch through Rupo, but Rupo as well has that slight low ground advantage, can spray fire first, can take down Hilo despite that low health, especially now as he takes that high health through indeed, but the blue only going to damage him more, not as much as Gaijin damage Wizard, and Wizard eliminated too.
Yeah, and your point is definitely there. You can see that Rupo's got absolutely no meds, no boosters, no bandages, no nothing. Right, that is the issue with her position, though. It's like, it's so easy to predict that it could go north. I really don't think they have a plan when it comes to a north shift. Like, just stay around there. There's no timeline. There's no like ways to enter in. What is the reach that we could use? And those things will continue to be an issue. And they've got no meds for that as well. You just need to boost up a little bit more. Hilu got a lot more HP advantage, but the blue zone is slowly coming in. The rich advantage with that third-person peek is on the side of UV, and that will be a 1v1 with no one in proximity. No, Abby actually is still in there, but a little bit far.
I'm almost disappointed at this point to keep seeing it. I mean, now, they've got to redeem themselves. They've got to take down Hilu, but I worry, no, it's not going to happen. But the rest of Team Savage, this is not the aggressive team we saw in the previous PMNC, and it's a team that just looks really darn broken. I mean, every single time, either they just forget what even to do, what is step 2 in their match from their starting location. And if they do manage to find a good position, we saw in Miramar yesterday, they seem to blunder it every single time. I'm wondering what is going on inside their team, because it's clearly something personal or something inside of their own squad. It can't be this outside play, because it's just too weird considering.
Yeah, and tricky one for sure. Like, this circle itself is just so hard to play. And if before you know it, you may just have yourself killed. Like, you fall down, you don't think about how you could potentially come through in the next one. But 777 are having a decent game, but you need to know these landscapes extremely hard. You can see Lovco here just basically trying to do training ground practice, but missed the chance. TSC will be faced with that roadblock, and you can see how tricky it is. They need to rotate around it, essentially, and TSC will suffer even more in that valley, and that is the valley of death if I've ever seen one.
Valley of Death only grants now a slight bit of protection, but a blue zone is going to close it in. You can barely see all of them surviving, but we're going to have to nip back out into the blue, and they're going to have to do it quickly, because phase 6 is only 20 seconds remaining, and there's a lot of revives. I don't think the revives,
it's not worth
probably at this point, really need to come through from a team like TSC. What you really want to see is teams just dropping all of their medkits onto one player and saying, survive.
Yeah, you know what? Like, the mess definitely have to come through. They have to all go to one player, but the revive is also important, because that means you can deny kill points, right? So that is the thing to go, and you can see Triple have the plan. Maybe cause one to really do some work. The rest will try to lift. That's not going to be easy anyway. Bujo are out for blood after all. The 4 team will die together in blue and just have their last fight, and they will make it to 7th place nonetheless.
Oh, they'll run it through, but unfortunately no further TSC. They do grab, though, an extra 2 points. Of course, they were first in the leaderboard, so important for them as well, not giving those kills back to 777. So actually, as a result, they give nothing over to other teams, but they grab extra points. It's the best possible situation. 777 next to fall as well. Just unfortunately cannot get out of such a dire ridge here in that ravine in between the hill of Sanhok, as we do still have Arena51 in the center. Danoka takes away Example UK, though, but it's Arena51 who steal the points, and Arena51 who take not only now to help a KurdVictory down, but also probably have spied through the rest of Conqueror. Danoka barely getting on out of there, will die to the blue, being so far away, unfortunately. Do they give a point away? Don't think so. Should just be another one lost.
Well, if they can't pick themselves up, the gods of Pubg is here to give them one. This is where they fought in phase 1, and they got the circle going over to them. Now, at least 17 points in their pockets from that one game. That is more than they've ever gotten in the last 9 games. That's how crazy it is. So if this can't bring you back in the tournament, I don't know what can. There's still a long road to go.
Still a long road for Arena51. They still need to win, of course. I mean, everything is given to them. It's albeit a solo example and a really difficult rotation in from 1802. Barely on the edge of zone. All 4 players alive for Arena51. It doesn't get easier than this for AR51, and they do take down one regardless. But it's a 1-for-1 trade. Probably not the way they wanted this. Finally, Cute gets knocked though, and only Loveco to drop. I think this is probably going to be a sneaky one already going through to Arena51. Kindboy barely edging into zone with that sliver of HP. But immediately, as soon as they get spotted, should be able to find those confirmed kills. But can really here, example, UK strike one more point, because it's now Arena51 they dive on into the blue. Maybe they give up their position here for Kindboy, who is healing, albeit slowly, with bandages. Could still sneak one away, but I think maybe he's missed this opportunity now. Arena51 back to the team.
Well, still a huge game for them, for both teams, to be fair. Example, UK, you can't imagine getting a better ending than this, like knowing when to come in. And that is Xerox trying to go fancy right now. You finally got your break. And you know what? Just cherish it and stay in form. And then that is not what you want. That is them giving away another kill. So you know what? As a full team, I do think that is the extra point that they could have gotten, and the way to get it is definitely not like that, right? So we have to be borderline harsh a little bit, because we've seen these teams maybe in the past like really not even getting the hearts of people, like when it comes to, you know, not having the best play, but you want to have some finesse. Yes, the only time that you may get to do that. So personally, I don't quite like that, but after all, it's still a very important game for the squad.
It was not clean, but we still managed to do it anyways. We got the chicken dinner Tarzan, 11 kill points, 15 placement points for them. Example, UK taking second, team 1802 though, taking that third position, I think is again important for them. KurdVictory still taking consistency in his second game, 2 games now in a row, but we find themselves in double digits. Also though, the rest of 777 Esports taking above TSC Legends, and I think even though TSC Legends, they didn't grab a lot of points, they don't have to worry too much, because look where Syrax, RESQ are, they're nowhere near all of them, and neither are Gaijin, so it's only going to be an increase in that lead, despite the fact that they didn't do very well themselves. I mean, this is again a repeat of all of these top teams on that leaderboard, I think really starting to struggle as these finals go on. I mean, yes, they're at the top just now, but that's purely because of their second day of play. Now we got to really coming back together. Have to see if we can do that on Miramar, though, as we are halfway through our third day of games. 10 games down, 6 more to go. We'll see you on the other side. And we are once again here, Tarzan, for the PMCO UK Fall Split finals of the 2021 season. It is already shaping up to be quite a series of upsets today. I mean, we've seen Gaijin taking the first game, taking albeit Arena51, take the second now, and I think giving way for a lot of these teams when it comes to those overall standings, Tarzan in particular, to rise up to the top. But TSC, albeit taking that lead and only growing, can they keep that up though?
Well, they have this tendency in ending some days with a lot of power, so that is something that we're looking out for. Well, let's look at those overall standings. They are, in fact, at the top, 12. No, not 12 points per game. I'm tripping a little bit. Is it 10, 12? Yes, it is 10 points. What am I doing? That is 12 games that we've played already, guys. And oh no, I am wrong. That's just 10. Wait. Where's the math? Okay, God, I'm really tripping. Yes, 10 games.
It's okay.
It's 10 games, right? But
I got you.
You know what? Hey, there's something that I got. That's fine. Okay, we look at Miramar in particular. We've played 2 Miramar games so far, right? And the first one, the team that won was Syrax with 17 kills, right? And the second one yesterday, RESQ with 14 kills. Both of these teams been doing not so well, and that is actually a very light way to say it today. So they need to maybe make use of this game 3 to make it count.
KurdVictory already though, they are stepping up and they're making it count because they are now on 9th position. I think, as we said, going to be a very tricky time for them unless they get to mega games in these next 2 matches. That's their only hope, I gotta think, here for them to also potentially take first. But as we said, the rest of TSC Legends are now 121 points in the lead. I think that, to be fair, I'm very impressed with how TSC Legends have been playing. I mean, yes, it hasn't been the cleanest games coming through from them, but as you can see, even in that last game, for example, when they don't have those lots of points given to them, they know that they're going to fall out, you can still take a little bit away, and you can still make those upsets happen. And I think that these small points, these small differences, these are really going to make the difference, in particular, when this leaderboard is so close, when there are so many contenders with still 6 matches to go. And I think that maybe TSC Legends, we start to see the rise of them. You just gotta hope that they can stay in that first position, because as we said, they got 4th in spring. They barely didn't make it, but they can't even make 3rd or 2nd now. They have to get to the top or nothing for them.
There's something in play for them, though, that is extremely interesting. Euphoria and Jar Jar, they were part of Nico Defense League, so they know how it feels like to be told that they've won, not just won the tournament, but to be qualified to the PMPL. So that is actually quite interesting. I don't know what will happen if TSC Legends actually qualify. So that is a question mark that we may need to find out. But right now, they are for sure looking pretty decent. And it's actually to my sadness to say, I can't really say there's a strong performance so far across any teams. Like, it's just so shaky right now. And it's a little bit sad. And they can change that. And not for me, definitely for themselves. We've got 6 more games to go, guys. And before you know it, we are so deep into this finals already. And I can't wait. I simply can't wait to see what will be the case and who will be representing the region.
I mean, Miramar up next, Tarzan, and I think Miramar has been the most interesting of them all. Of course, you look back to the group stage, it was how teams really faced around Los Leones, but since the finals have appeared, we start to see a little bit of this change, and we have had to see, I think, a lot of change when it comes to who comes out on top of Miramar, because it never feels the same in this one map. Yes, you always start to see teams playing, I think, overall similar when it comes to those other games, Sanhok, that last game being quite an exception, but overall, Miramar has been the shakiest, and I think that teams really need to step up in this map overall. It comes down to, of course, the positioning. It comes down to playing as a team when it comes to Miramar, and that has been, of course, the faults of these squads, and it shows.
I think it's very interesting in what you said, because Miramar as a map is slightly less zone-dependent compared to Sanhok, but the amount that is being played is exactly the same. So you, in the past, with basically placed almost the same amount of importance for Miramar and Erangel. This time around is different. So for a map that requires you to not rely on the zone and still have the very good macro play on a huge map, they are a little bit out of practice. And suddenly the focus may be drawn to Erangel so much that I feel like people might be missing the chance to make these Miramar games the life-changing one.
I mean, we saw RESQ as well. They made that life-changing run yesterday, and I think you can see even one map like Miramar, it makes a difference, and you can see how that actually helped RESQ be able to get to the top of this leaderboard and actually overtake a lot of those teams yesterday. I think that, to be fair, teams are sleeping, honestly, on this desert. I think that they've got to be able to step up, they'll be able to wake up as we do head through on to that third match overall, Tarzan, and of course, no other than our beautiful sponsor, Xiaomi, and where you can enjoy a super fast and lag-free PUBG mobile experience on Xiaomi's powerful Redmi Note 10 5G. Tarzan, I think this playing path as well speaks to a very option-based series of drops for these teams.
Very, very interesting one, I'd say, because we've seen a lot of teams being forced to go south, like in the early parts of the tournament, right? And suddenly it's got opened up to them. It's like they don't know how to use what's been given to them. Yes, they go back to their normal drop spots, and some of them just fail because some adaptation being forced through as well, especially with RESQ potentially coming in and just making the San Martin Hacienda dynamics very different. And we see maybe that is why Conqueror might be struggling a little bit, because very close to them they've got TSC Legends as well, but TSC is not scared to make some adaptation, and seems like that will be a simple same triple of those teams around that area. But yesterday, though, they respect that position very well, and they have not had much early fights. Day one was absolutely different, and this time round, I'm just going to look at one team, Team Savage, to have their break. Yeah, because they go to Tor Akomada. We mentioned this. I'm not even jinxing them. Yes, this is their drop. They should know how to rotate into the zone. And with this one here, they will not be touched at all until maybe mid-game, and they need to transition into that very smoothly. Northern Zone as well, they should take this one with no problem if they've done their homework.
Oh, but I mean, Tarzan, you really put all your coins onto them, because I mean, you look back to that second game, it was probably the shakiest out of any of those teams that we saw in that second match. I mean, talk about passive. That was pretty extreme.
Well, I'm just looking at them. I don't think they're going to do well, don't get me wrong. I know that's pretty harsh. I just want to see them bounce, because we've got two teams that have bounced already. Arena51 have bounced off okay. Like KurdVictory yesterday, 4 points. They came through with almost a chicken dinner.
Now it's well just today.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's the thing, though. Like, the side of Team Savage is not really finding their particular style. I think it's still lacking versatility. And this is something that I love to see. This is intentional. The Uncles UK want to take out Syrax and make them feel like they can no longer hold onto that spot. And they hot drop on them on Impala. Like, this is personal, right? Like, this have never happened in this tournament. Syrax always got Impala to themselves.
So Uncle, so it could be a massive upset. I mean, Syrax, if they fall here, they haven't had a good day so far again, and this could be a really big dent to their overall, what was even their lead starting in today. Syrax, as the Uncles do enter into the compound, they smash down one, Break does get knocked, and El Chapo so far away on the wrong end really of his building, trying to dive on into. I think it is a little bit harder. Of course, he is now also a second dropped, and they're not really playing to the positional strength for the entirety of their team, and Saint, because they go in on that same angle, is able to actually take so much away potentially from Syrax, but still again cannot find the knocks it is required. Prince Cable stepping up, and as we said, more importantly, Hype as well on the opposite end. They also had that overlook, and that's what made it so hard for the Uncles. Now already down to one player. El Chapo, they know he's there. There's no real escaping Syrax to defend.
I think the key is to get this extra kill and to make sure that you don't lose anyone, right? Because like we've seen 777 in Chamisera yesterday, and that was pretty sad. And this time around, Syrax needed this, and it's a very hard one to wrap up. You know, when it comes to, if Syrax won this one, and then you would just say the uncles came in not so prepared. Like, we expect Syrax to take this. If the side of uncles got this, then Syrax just don't know the drop spot. And you know what? Let's do a repeat, shall we? Hacienda, we talked about this congestion, and both teams got, you know, pressured from other teams when they're trying to fight in the open last time, and this time is ahead on 4v4.
Already Conqueror, though, again, another one of these squads that really have been struggling today. Did get a knock against them. That smoke goes a little bit wide. Should I say stun goes a little bit wide here against Ari. Stops him making that push. And now Ari still defending against the tracks. At TSC, they step back a little bit, though. They are being respectful. I appreciate this coming through from TSC Legends because they know that realistically, getting over to Conqueror without a knock now, that revive coming back, it's probably pretty difficult. You're going to lose members. They don't really want that, especially with Brujo on that off angle. Brujo will try to potentially separate Snowboy here, and maybe then they can make that push onto at least one member. But with Snowboy, if he gets across, it makes it all that more difficult for Snowboy, or should I say the entire Conqueror, to really be stopped here. As they're the uncles, they do get taken down, but also Arena51 losing another to B4V. B4V taking down 2 of Arena51 already, as that fight also breaches through. One back for Hilo being knocked, but Conqueror, all the meanwhile, on the front of your screen, still TSC Legends pushing in, and they are getting closer.
Well, it's very hard to play this one out, especially when the side of TSC have won in this exact spot last time, right? That is something that if you have some degree of decent memory, you can remember even as the player. So that is going to be quite tricky. Last time, Breacher still held this position, and then they play off that western side, right? And that is Jarja's position still, and that is a very similar pinch formation. So the side of Conqueror UK need to keep track, and that will be the opening coming through first. Euphoria falls.
But when you get a knock against you, Tarzan, how do you really come back? I mean, thankfully, the Tony is there to stop them. Had that been a knock onto Bujo, onto Jaja, that would have been a lot harder for then TSC Legends to be able to really come back and be able to answer that fight as a whole again. That nade, just a little bit too late on the uptake, will not knock down either of them. Euphoria still alive and will heal up, but Conqueror are pushing back, and you can see that confidence there. And Conqueror are trying to make these plays, but it is so hard because there is such a three-way split coming through from the Eagles.
And this is going to be quite scary still. Like last time around, I believe the Team Savage came in and actually joined this party and really like changed the pacing of the game, because sometimes they played so slow coming from that northern side, and they came in okay with some third party. This might be a repeat, and I mean this time, like for this time fight, I think it's still is possible to be repeated tomorrow as well. And I think it's so important for Jaja to not show his position at all, and he will be able to catch the side of Conqueror UK out. But after all, it's just that one cover, and the next cover would be very predictable and very hard to get to in a way. So it can still go either way. It will be about who's going to make some pulls, whether there will be third parties, and that will actually be triple in the area. They should be able to see get some sight lines from the third party. This like long range, but Euphoria falls again.
Euphoria a second time, and now they're coming back together, but kissing in the backside. Even now triple, they're coming around the opposite end of this fight. They have now gone away, so they don't want a third party, but now Jaja steps up, finds one as well as Hisoka goes down too. In TSC Legends, maybe now they have some form of an opening with that knock once more. They did find that revolve onto the rest of Euphoria, but Jaja needs to find that second. He needs to try continue that pressure, that pincer to allow the rest of TSC inside, and Danoka is not making it easy for them. Only now burns up the staircase again as the Tony looks for that quick nade, only gets knocked. Ari steps back down in time, only gonna get knocked himself, so Jaja finds it, is still behind the fence doing work. Triple here to Sound. It looks like they're even coming in for the third party once more, but Bujo takes down Ari, takes down Danoka. That will already be the kills confirmed away, and Ahsoka is next on the line. But we'll find one. Can he get another? He's trying to stay alive, but no, he does not. Euphoria claps back on now to Snowboy, and the only one for Conqueror remaining. As they step inside the animal shack themselves, and Snowboy looks like he is about to be put down by the 3 animals themselves. TSC lunge and a strike with their claws.
Oh, no.
One goes down though, but it's not enough.
Man, Euphoria went for the pan. I think they just didn't have the loot to do that, or that's just the type of BM that you want to see. And, how often can we say this? That is a beautiful team fight in a way, but that was a little bit of misstep coming from Conqueror. Not giving the angle, I should say, for Jar Jar to do his work. They knew that he's there. That's the problem. And in those small skirmishes, they had themselves show. That is where the double knock came through. But that northern circle, like for once, maybe we get that Oasis finish. I would love to see that. We've been talking about this for months now.
Don't you dare, Tarzan. Don't jinx it.
No, just because I said it doesn't mean I jinxed it. It's so hard anyway, man. But the reason why we love it is it's nice to see some water on this map, as well as it being so peculiar that teams really need to use their skills when it comes to assessment of the landscape, just with what's in front of them, right? And for those who somehow put extra time into studying that, then you should have an edge.
I think not many teams would know, to be fair, Oasis. I mean, has it ever ended here? I mean, we've watched so many PUBG games, we've not seen a single one. The likelihood of it is so low, but albeit that slim chance it could come through, it's still possible inside that second phase. I'm praying for it, Tarzan, albeit as Triple around the edge of that fight with TSC. Conqueror right now, step back a little bit, though, and instead into Team Savage's hands. Gaijin as well, also on the opposite end. And Team Savage, this is where, again, yes, they don't have to worry too much. They come back together, but we do have to worry a little bit because, again, Gaijin on the opposite end, taking that down Paraboy, you start to see the rest of Team Savage. They're slowly losing their grip and defense.
I mean, this is just a very bad hold of the compound. Like, this whole plateau is strong against south, so if you want to split and keep some eyes out, it's 1-3 split, 1 north, 3 south, and this just gave free entry for Triple Sports Club. That is terrible, I would say. Like, they're not making use of the strength of this, and that will be them just waiting for the other to make a mistake. That will be the opening knock, but they need to do a lot more.
Oh, but they're finding it. They are getting a lot more done. And now Reznov has to step up, has to try carry. But Browdy as well. Can he even survive? No, he doesn't. I think Team Savage might have just played it barely right, but only to the deficit. The fact that Browdy was not there, and they tried to push Reznov in as a solo player. Now, Browdy solo on his own. I mean, this is just kind of that also saying of bad to worse, right? Where Team Savage, they should have easily been punished for this, but Triple, they push in again like they're solo players, and as a result, get punished even harder.
I think that's the case, right? Like, you have unintentionally baited this other team. You don't play the usual way, like I mentioned, 1 north, 3 south, then you gave the full sense of security for this other team. So they just came in and start setting up. Little did they know there's a team on that northern side, and that is just unintentional reverse psychology as well. So that is quite unfortunate.
Or a mistake.
And you know what? That is a mistake right now for Team Savage to not get that last kill. How did that last guy get away? Like, we'll never understand like the thought process of some of these teams. Like, I thought it could be borderline basic, but I will also try to not be too harsh as we wait for this next shift. Please, 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 please. Okay, I'll take that.
It's on the edge. It's getting there. I mean, if we just go a little bit up north again, we get Facebook. That's all I want, Tarzan. I want to see some teams center around Oasis really bad right now. It's now also the rest of RESQ taking out a central position. Please. Of course, the harder part of his zone, though, Tarzan, is the fact that that ball in the center, no one wants to go in there, and you're relying on that position around the hills outside and circumferencing that ball, because if you can't get that immediate high ground position, you end up with a position like example UK, right, where you're trying to climb, but there's no real way to climb because everywhere you go, there is a team looking down upon you.
Yeah, very tricky. I think this is where teams need to just use the minimap and just hypothesize. Sometimes, like, you can't rely on the minimap as much, because sometimes those colors, unless you really design the map, is going to be a little bit tough. And then play with what's in front of you. This is why I want this type of circle. Still, a good chunk of it has been like around the, every bit almost has been in the game for so long. They should know the map well enough to play a good chunk of it. And this is going to be a very good test. And to be fair, that is also the sign, of the level of our gameplay, or could just be the style when it comes to play. Like, we've got 3 teams eliminated already, and when I've watching these other regions, like sometimes in phase 4, even on Sanhok, you can still have 62 players.
Still 1 kill up, though, still holding down Example UK. I mean, this is a pretty easy hold. Now all I'm looking for from Spill is a patience. Tarzan, because there is no way that Example UK should be allowed to survive come past phase 3, especially considering if it shifts back towards Spill, which you are assuming 90% of the time it does.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, if they know, done their homework, I would say. Know the numbers when it comes to team number, then you should take this one, right? It's a 4v2. But the problem is people actually don't take that into account when it comes to kill feed awareness. So then they don't take that fight. But there's another school of thought, like they would assume that the Zerko will move away from them anyway, and then it's just easy kills afterwards.
I would have actually liked to see that molly come through first, Tarzan, and then the nade, actually, from Liquorita. That would have been a nice way to do it, is you push him into one side of the building, knowing we have to be there with that molly, and then just nade him on the opposite end. I mean, it has to jump out a window. It takes a little bit too long. If you cook it right, it should have been an easy knock, and I think Spill, they could have played it a little bit better when it comes to that micro side of things, but albeit they're still continuing to hold down on Example UK. It is slow, but I think it's fair to be slow in a situation like this. You don't want to be too hasty, because you see so many times teams fall because of that. Unfortunately, Oasis not inside that phase 3.
Damn it.
But also, you gotta love it, Tarzan, because this is still a pretty darn difficult zone. Center of this zone, still inside of that ball. I mean, realistically, you're hoping now, whichever side you stay on, it goes towards that side. If it shifts to the other, you have to go over that ball itself to cross. You're not just going to be able to do it. It feels like you're playing similar towards between water treatment and half the end of that ravine itself, Tarzan. You can't cross.
Very, very hard one. Like, you just want to stay on the outskirts, to be fair. So we can see the side of Syrax maybe using that spot on the outskirts to be able to make some more movement in safely as well. But Wizard on this other side will be able to get 2 kills, but the clock is going a little bit low. 400 meters to go in what could be a very unfamiliarized part of the map, so that can be a little bit hard. Right here, KurdVictory, they've dethroned the side of RESQ in the game earlier. Can they do the same against CSC?
Could be another upset. They are holding in for the meantime on the edge of the wall, facing into TSC Legends. One already knocked out, a card down. Jaja, Euphoria, the NDL members up on the front line. Is now also KV, KurdVictory. They are holding and they are being patient. They are going for the revive. Tequila has that sneaky position. I think they're hoping that TSC, with that knock, they're going to try be pressuring into also another. KurdVictory barely dodging out a nade as well. So you have to be careful, because you saw actually there was that third party coming through from the south. And Syrax, they have the eyes on them. So they are actually pushing TSC, which is what KurdVictory wanted. But now it's down to the case of KurdVictory. Can they actually stay together as a team? Because you see that is exactly what TSC are doing. And smartly so, they should be able to find these knocks with it. Another nade should be able to easily knock down Naka. Puts a smoke down. Doesn't even see it coming. A second grenade where Raccoon stands. Will almost knock a second. Will confirm even more health away from Naka. Makes that move, forcing out the revive. And now TSC, they move further in, but Tequila does take one back, tries to take 2, tries to swap both over to Euphoria.
Wow.
There comes a second. They might have the upset on their hands. Jaja is the last one alive. Can they take it? No, they cannot. Barely. They are surviving, but not anymore. Tequila finishes it through, and it's 3 kills for him, and TSC Legends eliminated.
Man, and I think it's so important that KurdVictory took certain spots in a very quiet way, and that allowed them to turn that by surprise, and that was also very bold to do a loopy-loop to strike from behind as well. That side, though, they didn't take enough time to come in, so Wizard might be punished for this, but on the other hand, there's someone even slower than them. Spill will not be able to get down to that hill without some casualties.
They do get down a hill though, Tarzan. Lakrita is there, and also Gaijin Seraphim also holding up on the north side. This is so tricky for a team like Gaijin, because the only way further into zone, if they don't want to take this fight, is through that ball. So they are forced, statistically, through this map into taking that fight, and particularly now, as they do have to come in even further. I mean, all of this south side, so many of these teams coming forward, you gotta also feel for these solos like Triple and 1802, because they're probably gonna be the next series of teams out if Gaijin don't fall first.
But you know what? For this type of circle to be on that eastern half is so much easier. And you can see those are rich lands for them to play off. And B4V being in there, I think they can make a huge game out of that. And same for Team Savage. Sure. They are very good at holding certain position, but they need the zone to be somewhat in their favor, because that's just a track record. And of course, it's down to them to prove me wrong. But on this side, we won't be having this circle, the next one I should say, without a bit of a fight.
Already that zone is closing in, though. It forces now a hand of Spill. It forces a hand of Wizard to make this move, make this fight, whether they like it or not. They are still trying to poke away Gaijin and still trying to push them together. You can see they have done that for most part, but still they have to push even further. And 777 on the backside doesn't make it easier. Syrax take down KurdVictory, but 777, we sit on the backside, take down Gaijin Logan. Syrax also finishing through a second on the kill feed, but albeit Wizard helping to take down even more potentially is now the nade from upstairs, pushed downstairs as well. The molly is the only thing it defends him for now. The revive comes back in, is now Dika searching through the smoke, trying to find the kills. Rescue as well, taking down 777 in around the warehouse on the back end. Logan drops again, and Wizard, they're still pushing with a help for Spill. They're sandwiching the Gaijin members. Gaijin, they do not stop despite one knock. They take down two already. Dragon trying to hold, but where can he go? Lord, where can he go? As they are all falling to their knees. Spill making the revive only makes it harder, but we do survive at least another KurdVictory for first. And Molly barely not touching Lord, barely keeps himself alive.
Man, that is Gaijin actually getting sandwiched within there, and everyone's just burning. Run, Gold, and Golds just get burnt down, right? Like, they've learned some chemistry in the past, and Spill finally strikes. They can play so slow, and also patient, to be fair. The creator heals back up, 6 kills on board, but just down to those 2 players. And just on that south side, 777 still bleeding alongside another team.
6 kills so far for Spill, but they can't take another. Wizard, they tried. It's only going to be another knock, and they're entering their way in along the ridge. They take down another on the fence. Coyote drops as well. Kelly boy, this is a famous game for him in the finals. If only he could keep Spill alive. We mentioned Erangel was a map, but Miramar, it only shakes it up even further with Spill being on top now, potentially. And the rest here, Lakrita defending every single one on the edge of that blue. But phase 5, look at where it has gone into phase 6. Tarzan through into B4V, in onto rescue as well. Wizard are getting demolished to get taken down by Gaijin. And now there's only going to be one Golden alive. He was not there for his team. And Lord, 3v1s.
My god, how did that even happen? And we have only 5 seconds on that circle, and you can see we're getting into that type of landscape where everyone can almost shoot everyone. You can see B4V still waiting on the other side. Kelly Boy got one job, and he's just waiting for it. Every single kill count, and he is still in 1 placement point range, is going to be a bloodbath.
Fortunately, Wizard drops first. Gaijin, they take at least 1 more position on this leaderboard, but can they take another? Can they get 2 points in total? Can they survive anymore? They are trying, they make the run for it. They try desperately to get back into the zone. You can see only bandages remaining. Team Savage, though, they're trying to take the kills, they're trying to be aggressive. They take away Born for Victory. Syrax, so take down the rest of Team Savage. They take another one. Scythe onto UV. Born for victory. Drops, so do Gaijin on the top side of the map. But not before Team Savage. It looked like they might even be next. Is Syrax already up to 8 kills. Spill joining the dead.
Man, that is the rise of this team. And we've been waiting a bit too long now, and they still got a great chance. But it's not just them. The biggest wins in this tournament is also shared by SAR 777. They got 19 last time round. It can still be possible. They got a decent split, though. Londa got into position to cause severe disruption.
Syrax, they're continuing to push, so they are being patient because look at how the zone has gone, Tarzan. They can't push further. They can't go into the flat because if you go to there, you will just get wiped. But look at also the solos who have made it in so far. Triple Sports Club, 1802, Tarzan. Both of these teams, they were a solo for the last 3 phases. They outlived everyone with his help of the zone shifting towards him and at least going to pick up 6 and 8 points respectively.
It's actually quite crazy that 777 now that in this position, it could be the bounce as well because they made sure that RESQ wasn't the team that got that bounce back. We're waiting for this new circle though. It might just be incredibly, insanely open. As we look at it, 777 got the zone.
777, it is their game to lose, but there is still the solo surviving. There is still potentially even more points available to them. A little bit more hope for Triple. They are slightly further ahead in that zone, and 1802's Cute, who is unfortunately staring down the beautiful image of 4 Syrax members. Already 8 points, but they need a gain to make it across that ridge. The same old problem they have not solved in Phase 7. They have 10 seconds to do just that. But how do you get across? How do you try to really find that position in the side? I think what Syrax are trying to do is, yes, they understand they probably don't get into this zone into 777, but they can take Team Savage down before that.
You can see hand shooting action now. I mean, weirdly, in this game, if you just shoot all shots on the hand, you can still kill someone. Prince, once to get the entry, will not be able to do that easily. Those solos can also cause so much damage. It's actually going to be Cute taking that one.
Cute takes another position, but not before Triple Sports Club fall down. Before them, Spill, of course, in and now. 5th is the rest of Team 1802. They are trying their best, but unfortunately only going to potentially be the next dropping of Syrax instead. Potentially 1802 take another game. Placement here is now already is trying to survive in the blue. Is so low. Do they even have the healing available to them? Does Hype have enough to outlive? Because Shadow as well, desperately trying to get over to Rupo. It will be 1802 who drops next. It will be a great performance from the best they could master. Is Londa stepping over the hill, looks for his 1v2 moment. Fanny fighting, he takes down 1. Can he get 2? Yes, he does, and he takes it on the edge of the blue. Maybe a 1v3 as he now searches for Hype. Trying to turn his back to Hype though, and now potentially Londa could get shut down, but Syrax really realistically step up here. Hype is the only one remaining, and here also come the hunting squad of 777. They are like dogs. Heroes, they scout out and they sniff out Hype and they blow him up.
Man, like, I thought that car should have been blown up so long ago, but it's so important for both these squads to take this one. 777 back to the Miramar game. I mean, that circle is just so hard to play, but they held it okay. Like, that was an important one to take down RESQ and to get that boost in points as well as confidence. And they came in, got that last circle with the help of that ridge as well. Very tough one for many teams, but man, it's a very versatile game with all types of flavors on our plates.
Already those Syrax are back into that second position. 777 back on top. We'll take a look at those rankings as well, Tarzan, and see, of course, how well they did. 29 points once again, but 777's name on top of it. Team Savage, though, probably their best game in a while, and Spill, of course, too, in that 16th position overall on the leaderboard, still picking up 10 points. To try in, it's going to be difficult, but also 1802 and Triple Sports Club getting those points on top. I think this was a very even game here for those bottom teams. It's only when you, of course, start to get to that top 4 that those points really do start to ramp up.
Yeah, I think we've got a cluster of teams now in the high 120s. I think 129 or 130 would be the top right there. Rescue would be the team. That's still disappointing, though. We're waiting for them
Yeah.
to bounce. Like, I'm just going to quickly check. I believe that they have close to 100 points yesterday. So far, they've only got one more game to really go back up in those point averages.
They just need that one game, Tarzan, but they haven't found it. All 3 games today, it felt so poor from Rescue. We just don't see them really playing that edge style, really kind of trying to play what is that aggression coming into the late game. It's not the way that we know Rescue to be, and I think it is hindering them. And we question, can they be that diverse team? Can they play multiple styles of PUBG? It doesn't look like it is the case, but we've got one more game, see if they can prove it. One more game, see who takes it. As we'll head to a break, we'll see you guys on the other side. We're back, everyone, for the final game here of PMCO UK Finals 2021 at full season. Day 3 here is coming to a close, but we've got Erangel, as we said, Tarzan. I am very intrigued, though, because all today, I mean, it has not been a strong showing from any of these top teams. As we look at those overall standings, Tarzan, RESQ, they've only actually got 2 points so far today. It's a very disappointing day for them.
Very harsh. Very, very harsh. I think they are the team that's got most fans as well. So they've got a lot to fill in right now. I believe they're so loyal that they're still chanting them, like for them, and in that chat, in that stream. But that is the issue, though. Like there is something that's not quite right. I know they want to play that edge style or whatnot, but there is sometimes a lot more to make sure that you can still get some points. I still feel like they are very strong. They just can't quite find the game so far. So this last one is what they want to do, because I believe they got Erangel win sometime. No, it was actually just a second place, but they came in strong for their first game ever, right? They're second place with 14 kills, so they definitely need to repeat that one. Arena51 falls pretty early on in that game through after what seems to be a very good game to probably their own first chicken in the whole of the tournament, I think.
Arena51, it was their first chicken dinner in the whole of the tournament. I am pretty sure here, Tarzan. 41 points for them, but we're still in last because Spill, with that last Miramar game, were able to overtake them. I think that, again, as we said, is hyping up towards the top. I think very impressive from Gaijin, of course, to at least rise through that leaderboard so far through the tournament. Yes, it didn't look like a great game for them. Started off in 16th position on that leaderboard in that first game, but albeit they're here now in that top 5. And I think for them, I think for all of them, to be honest, they're one good game away from stealing the show and taking that top prize. So going into the final day, it's insanely close. And I think now you're probably looking at a lot of teams and how will they drop on top of potentially each other, especially going into that final day, because maybe teams lower down on the leaderboard, they say, well, we got nothing really to lose, but we can stop you from winning.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. You can see right now, to be fair, we are looking at TSC Legends, 777 Esports, and Syrax to be basically sharing the top, just 6 points from top to third right now. And Gaijin's at 103. So that is a good chunk of points as a buffer, to be fair. It's a very decent amount. But mathematically, there's still a chance for some of these teams slightly lower down to take those spots away. Like you said, one huge game and that's it, right? So man, but in my head, I can't bloody imagine any of those teams. Maybe I would include RESQ and Gaijin, but for the rest of the teams, I can't imagine it yet, but I know it's still possible.
Definitely possible indeed for anyone to take it. And I think that's what makes it so exciting coming into this final game, into the 4th day, because it is so open. I am very excited to see, in terms of watching it, how it does unfold, because it's no longer that Syrax show from day 1, right? We start to definitely see it all start to unravel. And unfortunately for Syrax, although they did take a second game, they have been struggling. TSC, I do believe they were slightly ahead of them if my math and memory is right here, coming from that leaderboard. And I think with TSC Legends as well, with their performance in Miramar, needs to again step up. It's all kind of, I feel, in a way, if you do too well in that one day beforehand, you come into the next day, Tarzan, you kind of choke a little bit.
Oh, yes. But you know what? Let's set the scene a little bit as well for this last game. We talked about how things can really get switched up. Gaijin Seraphim was the team who got the Erangel chicken dinner. In that second place and third were teams that we kind of didn't expect. I know it sounds harsh, but it's just track record, right? Like KurdVictory got 4 points yesterday, but in that single game, they've got 18. So this time around, we need to see how that game 4 goes. And we'll go back to some of these games from yesterday as well when it comes to Erangel. So we'll quickly look at that. Those winners actually were Seraphim once again in one of those games, but we've got TSC getting that 4th one. And now that they are right up the top, this is where they can really make other teams feel like, man, we have to. It's a chasing game.
Chasing game indeed, as we do come through to that ball of game. And in my mind, literally what I've got right now is like watching 777 and TSC go after Kind Boy and Example UK that first match today. I mean, that's what's coming through my mind. I think we're probably going to see a little bit more of that when it comes to teams, of course, hot dropping as we predict. But I think also, to be fair, the stakes are also a lot higher. We could start to see a lot more pressure get to these top squads as a result. Try to maybe see them adapt, maybe they play differently, they try to be a bit more passive, go for those placement points over some kills. That's also my worry, because if you do start to change your style so late into this tournament, can you effectively change your style so late? Can you actually be that team that is adaptive? Because we haven't seen you be adaptive so far, really.
Yeah, I just think sometimes what seems to be an adaptation might just be some styles that they've lost that they've just found back, right? So that would be a different way to see it, which is highly possible. We've seen teams coming in, it's a different environment. You get a little bit nervous. There's money on the line. There's, all those feelings of maybe I may make it to PMPL, but it's so hard. So all those factor in, and you lost your mojo sometimes, like if I say it that way. So if they can find it back, we can just see what seems to be a new team, but maybe to them, that is them in their real nature, in their real colors, right? So still waiting for that. I'm pretty sure, like a lot of these players got just insane mechanics, but when you pull it together in the right mind, when you're all on the same page, then we're going to get to see some very good PUBG.
Very excited to see some very good PUBG indeed, Tarzan, but albeit, I think we also have to note that when it comes to a team like Gaijin, I'm also very interested to see if they can take through another one of these chicken dinners, because we've seen so far 2 chicken dinners out of all what have been 5 games played on Erangel so far. I mean, they are the most consistent when it comes to this in the finals. I think also Gaijin, we have seen the worst, as we said, performances on Erangel so far, and I think for them, they are one of these coin flip teams. But when I look at Gaijin coming into these finals, yes, they struggled at the start, but what I am impressed about now is the way that they can enter into the zone. And you said that their playstyle is very unique, and it's something that does catch off people when they do play against them in fights. You can see that in the way that they exchange in these fights. Something that I think having that unique playstyle, having that your own way play PUBG, something that I think is the advantage of Gaijin. I think they are kind of that dark horse that came in when nobody really expected them to do all that well. They didn't do so well in PMPL previously, but they seem to have at least improved, and I'm hoping they can only improve further.
Yeah, the uncertainty was when they got a bit of a new roster, right? They lost 2 very important players, and ironically, they went to another squad and just missed the finals this time around, so didn't get to clash with their old teammates. But this new squad does have some potential. We can see it, and that unique style is almost a textbook style, so to be able to get that down is extremely important. But we do have to be very specific. We give it some context though. For certain circles, it's very hard to go in, because if you can't find that particular line of entry when it comes to threading the needle would be the term, right? Then you can't just blindly go for it. It's like circles and games, of course, it's just not 2 series of circles, on a blank piece of paper. So that is why we need to go back and see. After all, Erangel is very important, so if they can repeat that, it will be very important.
As we head through into that final match, Tarzan Erangel once more, and this is our 12th match of the finals of 16. Very important now for not only, I think, teams coming through into this game itself, but more importantly, coming into the final day tomorrow. This is what you're really looking for here, Tarzan, because the mental side of it and the pressure, if you don't perform in this final game, you lose your lead or you lose your potential to take that first spot, especially if you're at the top. It puts a lot of weight on top of you for tomorrow.
Oh yeah. And one day, like, for whoever could find the right mindset to motivate the whole team, that could be very, very key there, because we've seen those one last day, not just one last day, one last game to make all those differences, right? But this time, a bit of a different playing path. We haven't seen this in a while. That makes Southern Island a lot easier. We did say that the side of 777 spent a lot of time heading to Nova Enya, very, very dedicated and, should I say, loyal to that position. This will help them a lot when it comes to that early pacing. And the Wizard this time around using something a little bit different as well. So we see a different type of game, but it's not new for us, because this kind of just going back to day one, I would say.
Already, unfortunately, for so many of these teams in the south, though, they maybe want a little bit of peace. Unfortunately, not going to grab it, though. Finally, though, you do also see Arena51 as such do change it up. I thought they were going to drop actually in towards Syrax. That could have been an interesting trade through and an instant drop onto Syrax to try punish him early on. Instead, they don't really have the bravery for it. Instead, of course, they have changed up towards Primorsk, and they will actually have the zone better off for it, however, and a lot better than a lot of those teams on the east, because that zone not really complementing the playing path at all. It's going to be a little bit of a bother for these teams, but I think when you always look towards the western zone, I always love to see going from one side of Erangel horizontally to the next, finding it easier than going from north to south or south to north, because you have a lot more options when it comes to the south side, when it comes to the north side in particular, as well as just honestly going through those main parts of Erangel itself, trying to sneak around those hills.
Yeah, early not coming through, so that is going to be, you know what, it's not new at this point. I feel like, especially around school apartments in Rozhok, it's getting so intensive. It's like teams don't want to let go of any spot right there. So RESQ now in here definitely need those big games. Like otherwise, if they imagine going out with no points, like that's going to be insane. It's like they've got 2 points all day. That is unacceptable for everyone, especially for a team that we've hyped them up to, like to be able to maybe get to the PMPL.
Here is now RESQ, another one of those teams who were coming into the finals, who have been in the PMPL Tarzan. They've, of course, as we said, only earned 2 points so far today, and it has been by far one of their worst performances. A little bit of a dodge out on top of each other. Pure RESQ, Hyper's head feels a little bit shaken indeed. Albeit, RESQ, they need to fix whatever is inside their heads right now, because it has not been a strong day from them, as we said. And I think that Erangel, going back to it though, the fundamentals, it is their best map overall. I just want to see them go back to how they love to play PUBG. And again, going back to that edge style, because they are so good at it. And I feel that, yes, you are trying to try something different. You're trying to be a team that goes aggressive. Yes, you are an aggressive squad at that, but it's not the way that RESQ play overall.
Yep, and I think they just need to know how to make use of that style to apply to the right side of the map. Like, I'm not sure whether they've done as much work as we want a top squad to do when it comes to studying early games and, you know, drop locations and all that. Like, if they've done that, I feel like they can set some very good roadblock in certain parts of the map. So I think it's really, there's no excuse, right? You spent all those days allowing yourself to get familiar with the rest of the squads. Of course, there's a lot who didn't make it to the finals, but then those spreadsheets that I like talking about, which I may make a video on that sometime, those are very important.
Yes.
And that is going to be so key. Like 1802 right now, not really getting much attention. Same for the amount of fights, I would say. So they have not been very, you know, aggressive in their positions. It's more like responding to things rather than playing it proactively, which is a bit different to what we remembered them to be after that group stage.
I'm going to hold you to that, Tarzan. I want to see it, because I know that your knowledge, it runs deep. And to be fair, a lot of these teams could really use that extra knowledge, I think, when it comes to their homework. And I want to see also these teams also look back at those VODs a little bit more, because you do see them making those same mistakes. I mean, particularly here for a series of teams, I'm not going to call out Team Savage once more, because I think that they have been improving, especially from that last game. They still were able to pull off a decent amount of points. I do want to see overall, just generally, teams play it better through the course of a tournament. I wanted to see that journey of teams by now coming into the third day to fourth day to really show that they are aware of their stuff, to really show how they have learned throughout the entirety of the group into the finals. But again, the same mistakes being made, and I think this is an easy one here. I mean, Dika going against the wrong side. Dragon, unfortunately, here also getting knocked because of Dika needing revived. Yes, he found one back, but it's these sort of mistakes that really do harm you in these fights.
But you know what? When we talk about the studying in the early game, this is where we apply it, right? Blind crash into Gatka. Guys, tell me, how many times did you see Team Savage in Gatka? It's almost basically every single time. But you do ask as well, why did Team Savage allow the Style Wizard to come this close? Because they would just tell you, we're just still looting, man. We're not ready to fight. And that's the problem with that versatility and mentality. After they defended this one, okay. So that will be 3-0 to their side, and it's down to them to take it even further. Squad wipes come through from a very careless rotation. And when it comes to responding to that, they left themselves behind certain spots that can really be reset. And that was the problem. And Team Savage, if you don't take this, is really not going to be worth it to root for you. It's going to be quite hard, to be fair, and they will get it from their home, which is Gatka. They will continue to hold that spot. Gaijin, though, we talked about how they got 2 chicken dinners the past 2 days, both in game 1, both on Erangel, and this time with a lot of distance to cover. Let's see whether they can play the start. I don't think they're worried. They play this edge, they play strategic tank, but Uncles are for sure here to disrupt, because they've done that earlier in that previous game, just dropping onto Impala onto another team.
Yeah, one of the most tricky rotations for Gaijin, of course. They are 2,000 meters out. They had to come for Milton Power, which when you looked at that map previously at the start of the game, there was a lot of teams in around your location, in around the easiest way, of course, to get in towards that zone, in towards Gatka, which was that center where Team Savage are. Because if you try to go further just straight in that line, you will run into about 2 to 3 teams along the way, which of course is not going to work out very well for Gaijin at all. But so that was that north side. RESQ, they are holding up onto the Everest. And actually, can I just go back all the way to Spring Split? Was it actually RESQ?
Yes,
they held Everest every single time in Spring Split on this area?
Oh man, like you just, that synergy right there. I was about to say that exact same thing. Like some of these biggest wins towards the end of the tournament as well was when they controlled this beautifully and slowly worked their way down and cleared every side that's in front of them. That is how they got those like 16-18 kills chicken dinners. And right here, they need to hold it against the side born for victory. He actually very patient in here. He came in first, he kept absolutely quiet and have been passing info to his teammates for the past minute.
I mean, this is textbook here for RESQ. This is RESQ territory. Before Vivo, the new dogs here also want to try take up this location because of its information, of course. At its basic point, it is so useful in a zone like this. But RESQ, I like again that they are sticking together and they understand here they're trying to bait out these shots, but the patience from Born for Victory is too much. So they have to get a little bit of a step back here because they are realizing now there is 2 members coming from behind as well, and it is a 2-way fight. Jimmy and Arby on the back end. Is that zone? That's pretty darn brutal for phase 2.
I think based on my understanding of the teams, a lot of them don't want to play somewhere undefined, and they would just go, let's just play coastline. I think the coastline might be getting too much love that we don't get, but that's just a prediction. Still, Everest in play. We may see a third party coming through. BVB lost 1 already. RESQ wants to take this spot where they've been strong ever since.
RESQ, it is going to work out for them. Another taken away. I mean, Born for Victory, they felt the full force of RESQ here, Tarzan, and it felt so good for RESQ. More points than they got in so far. 3 games today, just in that one fight alone.
And that is huge, very, very important. Can be able to play loud, and people can see like these burned vehicles don't want to even touch that. The loot brought to you as well, and that is a great way to hold this. But Everest, very tricky. I think like you rarely see it kind of in the middle, not really tugging towards the east or west more. So they need to know which side to hold. Like I think that will be the key thing. Maybe a 1-3 would be possible, I think, for here. So no one really comes close to take that position away after a very western circle, and not a lot of good spots to play off if you don't know it, of course. And to be fair, for me, you've grinded this side because I used to play around this side so much. There's actually a lot of sweet spots, but you need to have very good split around it, and you need to have practiced it, I would say. Otherwise, it would just be those splits that you can't support each other.
But where are the sweetest spots, Tarzan? Where was the candy at?
Oh, you know what? Like radio tower, maybe right in front there, and there's a satellite to the south, but there is a road to separate. Seems like that one's taken away already by Triple. You can head south, but then you can't come in without any preparation, and this can be that pinch, and that is where, this is how you get punished. You cannot get into this area late. Like, that is the problem. So, example, not playing that macro game right quite yet, and that will be Septips trying to set up a bit of a good pinch, to be fair. We've got those radio towers, that's just how I call them, and then you can really like have everyone's stuck when they rotate around here without caution.
Triple Sports Club, they are heading in for that fight a little bit further. Sepsis is only going to hold up towards the edge. Just a little bit of a dip here. Try to make it a little bit more as well. But Syrax as well on the hill themselves do overlook Example UK. So an unfortunate position here for Example UK, where they find themselves late to the party. They lose a player, but now also worse is they got Triple looking at them from one side. And now we got Syrax even closer on the other. Both these teams beside them, probably unlikely to move unless they start getting knocked against them as well, unless they start getting into a fourth party fight. I think here, for example, UK, they're probably going to have to already negotiate how many players are we realistically going to have to lose to be able to escape this as a solo and maybe just try to survive.
Yep, I mean, very tricky one to be fair around these fields. There's still teams trying to edge in. I think that is the crazy thing, right? And RESQ will hold to this spot. And you know what? I respect that. I think not being able to take the hard covers later on and with the zone going to there could be quite tricky. I mean, they know South Georgia ball anyway, and I expect them to make the most out of this. We are going to have that shift. It goes over to the west. So that will be Everest actually quite on that edge. I think there will still be teams trying to touch it just because, you know, that might still be good textbook wise, but so many split compounds still very strong, and the coastline is also strong, but you need to know which part to take it. And we can see this side Triple trying to exert dominance. The problem would be if they've been playing so loud, how do they get out potentially later? But this is time to farm, to be fair. Enough ridgeline, enough grass, enough dips for them to maneuver through later on.
I actually really appreciate, though, on that map, the rotation coming through from RESQ, Tarzan, because RESQ, they're already heading towards that beach. And yes, you said it, well, Everest is still available. I think that it's smart, actually, to be playing along this coastal line because, yes, it is going to be not quite the center, but it is very close to the center of the zone, even being on that edge because of how far west that zone has gone. I think that teams here being that far front, being that proactive, it will work out for them. Albeit RESQ, they do have a slight little bit of a tricky position. I think that if teams like TSC Legends, they do push up, it's going to be quite easy for them to get quite close and maybe find those initial knocks, but also, albeit it will still be difficult to take down RESQ in this location as well because of the fact that they do have such a strong four-wall protection, and it's so open on that front side towards the coast. They're going to be able to take down anyone who rotates around there late. Is also Conqueror rotating late once more as another punish by Triple.
And Triple is playing it right. Like, this is exactly how to play the spot, and they're doing it beautifully. I think it's not easy to find the best part to park your car as well. So to be able to control this, get some kills, and keep your resources quite there, that is a great job by them, and they will be pushing people, you know, away from there. But the next rotation could be harsh if it goes away, so they need to start to have some split. Team Savage continue with their wrath. That is probably one of the strongest early game that we've seen.
One of the strongest early games, him coming out of Erangel already. 14 minutes in, they've already grabbed 5 kills so far, and are looking for a second fight, though. They take another shadow. Can it go back? Can he reset? Take 2. They just cannot find a shot onto El Chapo, though. And a not player Paraboy on the backside, trying to give information. There comes the second. The revive coming on to 3. Please, Shadow, come further. And yes, they grab it. Shadow takes a third with the help of UV as well. And now also Uncle's UK wiped. 8 kills so far for Team Savage. They are looking great off of that momentum from Game 3.
Wow, you know what? It could be too late, but it's better late than never. And hopefully they can get these early kills by themselves to snowball, you know, something that they've started, not relying on someone to screw up, right? But that will be Triple still controlling that one. This is very important for them. This position, although on the edge, has great sightlines compared to all that southern circle, is still the strongest. There are still a lot of good positions to hold, though. The hospital itself can be very strong, but teams don't want to touch it without some scouting. It's actually very hard to get out of if there are teams coming after you and to surround you, and that is the tricky thing. Like, that is the thinking that these teams need to have when it comes to getting a spot and how to split around it.
Example UK, unfortunately as well, they have had a tricky rotation in, but they did get out. And I think this is also a surprise to me because I thought Example UK would have to probably sacrifice members considering, but the fact that Syrax, they also moved away, given that opening as well. So actually they do survive. Unfortunately, not so much can be said both for Shadow is going to be knocked, and Team Savage, they're facing the problem here of being super late around this area. You cannot, though, be able to rotate this far into the south side. When you talked about this location being so open, so punishable, for trying to expect that there will be locations given to them. Now, 10 minutes realistically into the game around this location, it's just not going to be the case.
Well, I mean, if they know the map, the bottom right quadrant of this circle has been saturated for the past two phases. That is just the nature of that field. So if they've been playing around the west, just find a spot to come in from the west, but they just want to play that. It's like a bit of a textbook wide rotation without adding a good context to it, and they get punished for that. On this other hand, we see this northern side, a lot of rich to play. Still, we can see Kelly Boy actually has been surprising us with a little bit of good individual plays so far today. So let's see whether he can bring Spill up, because they are still pretty much at the bottom.
They got one kill, but unfortunately only a duo left. It never started with 4 players, and it always hurts to me, Tarzan, to see that a team that kind of probably giving up. They're in 16th position. They don't really have now a full squad and saying, well, hey ho, we'll come in with 3 players overall just to be able to play. It's unfortunate because I think that Spill, when they're on form, we've seen them play great games. I think we've seen the potential for every single team in these finals, no matter how much we have praised or criticized any individual team on their own play. We've all had good games previously in this tournament, and that is something that I won't be able to see potentially hear from Spill again. And that upsets me, to be honest, Tarzan, because when they play on top, as we said, they play really well. Unfortunately for Syrax as well, they are going to struggle here as they do look one down into the knock. Scythe was taken away, but they do find the smoke bank. They find a revive, but unfortunately for Syrax's position, the 2-2 split, Tarzan, it's not really looking all that strong, considering that those 2 in the center, they're looking a little bit dicey, and those 2 in the back, they're on the edge of the south side of zone.
Yeah, and I think they are at least very mindful, right? They go and see whether they can get a little bit more, but keeping the defensive angle smoked up. And that is why Syrax 2-2 split can't make some revenge on that spot, right? But that is the revive coming in. And I actually love the way that RESQ's been playing this. Yes, they were on Everest, and they've made these rotations when they've got a spot in the circle already, right? So that is what we want to see, that it has to be informed, and this time around they shall be challenged quite a lot. 1802 got the golden compound for this one. It has sightlines over the field as well. That is crazy, but they need to make sure that no one can come close to take it away.
Fortunately, Syrax paid a price, so tried to go way too far into that zone. Yes, they were trying to scout, but they are deleted. And they go down to 3. Example UK also trying to step further forward, but it's all the age-old problem of Conqueror gatekeeping him away, and Triple also off to the side, taking the chances away as well, even to an extent. Arena51, that also solo player, going to have to play the same page as Example are reading right now.
Man, very tricky circle, to be fair. Like, you think about your vehicles, this is the time to basically take them down. Like, I think this is the right time as well to find the best window to crash a more center hay bale, and then just take your car down about there, because it's going to be very hard to get out after all. And that will be RESQ trying to come in. Arena51 trying to do the same. Bam! That is so much explosion.
They lost the car for it. Tarzan, Arena51 are out, though. They have to now rescue, put the smokes down. They have to stop on that entrance in. They were stalled away. They have to give up their position. Conqueror, they take down another one of Syrax. Syrax away, also going to be punished, but they are split opposite west and east south sides of the zone. There also the help of Triple should confirm the third away from Syrax. Yes, Prince will get dropped. Gaijin as well going to drop 2, and I don't think Syrax are here for much longer. Trying to split way too far, and there they go. Syrax eliminated in 11. Spill also stepping up though against 777. Also now a duo versus duo in the top half of this phase 5. I think this is going to be a very crucial fight because whoever wins this out can survive that next shift.
And that is the sort of circle that some of these teams should go back and study. You know, bring out your whiteboard, draw something on, get some drawing app, right? To really circle which parts are the grounds that are resettable and what's not. And I think that is the really needed homework coming through. Spill, though, Laprita is angry. But, between him and Kelly Boy, I believe they can still cause damage. And that is them. They made it count. They took down one of the top squads. And that is going to shake things up so much.
RESQ as well, eliminated in what is 9th position, possibly even 10th there, Tarzan. That's another upset coming through, and now 3 of those top squads eliminated already. TSC still alive. This could be a mega game for them if they can grab the points, if they can get even more placements overall in this match. Now 7 kills for them. They're going to have a huge lead coming into day 4.
Man, and they've got the entry as well, and they are the only team who got into the car that early. And that is the proactiveness. That pre-zone scout from Bujo in this ridge is really showing why that experience matters. That is the string of that map knowledge, and there will be teams who would casually stumble into those spots and realize, oh, this seems good, and just accidentally found a spot. And Pubg is not for those type of players if you want to make it to the highest levels. And that will be Triple waiting for their time. They got from one palm position to edge into the next, and they can maybe transition into an even better game.
Euphoria got a little bit too greedy though on the off angle. Tarzan, they do lose their solo player, so it's a 3-man split for the rest of TSC Legends. Not quite in the zone. Crucially still yet, they will have to come out of that ridgeline if they want to survive into this next phase. And that will be more complicated, but they can survive. They can take it past Conqueror UK at least and grab a little bit more of those placement points. Team 1802, pretty darn broken. Already too is now also Gaijin Lord down to a solo. Gaijin who are desperate also for these points with all of the other top contenders out. Jaja will fall next. They're also Triple takes down away. Albi, a return by Bujo. But can they continue inside this zone? You can see they're trying, but they only get knocked and knocked and knocked.
After all, Triple got a very decent game. Yeah, they tried to play some split. Not easy, but the support comes in. Their vehicle should be rather healthy compared to other teams, and that is a problem when you don't know how to hold some of these spots. That is Jack. Took long enough, I would say, and that is extremely open for Kelly Boy, and that will still be them still in the zone, but Triple takes the center.
Triple, they take a center, they have a car blockade, and can they take down TSC to do so? Their only off-angle competitor. I think with TSC here, yes, they're inside the zone, yes, they've now got the smokes. They've somehow managed to survive with one more. Euphoria being revived was crucial there for the Eagles, Tarzan, because as a result, they are still alive in this game. But look at the kills on Triple Sports Club right now, 11 for them. And if they can find some miracle game, maybe they start to get close enough with a good game tomorrow. Maybe it's possible to also contend, but they've got to keep pushing. They've got to keep the 9 points away from the rest of these teams as well and not give themselves up. Albi will do just that. And Septives will also fall surely next, though. TSC barely on the edge as phase 6 into 7 now shifts further away from them.
Oh, just very tricky one. The small misstep, not getting into car Albi, will lose his life. And every single one counts in the cell circle. And in this middle, though, no one's really want to go there. The amount of cover is atrocious. Like, you can't really use anything. So whatever amount of car that you still have that can be turned into metal shields, huge asset right now. And TSC may be able to do that. There's still a chance to and they've got the smokes to do that, I assume. 7 kills on board can hold down that top 1 spot.
We gotta heal though, Tarzan. We gotta be able to defend that top 1 spot. And there is still 6 teams alive. Mega 5 is now also KurdVictory will fade away as the rest of 1802 strike their own kills in. As TSC Bujo takes down Naz as well. Resnov also going to fall down as well. Make it almost a third. Naz will be confirmed. Triple. They are falling into the hands of now potentially Euphoria as well. It's a 1-on-1. Septives is dangerously low. Defensive smokes is also now the blue zone. Catches up though with time onto TSC. But runs it. Now exploded. There's the rest of 1802. They too struggled down to just a duo. But TSC, for the next to drop out of the game, it's all down to solos. It's all down to duos. And 1802, yes, they've got a full squad, but the revives need to come through too.
Man, and Spill made it to end game. That is so important for them. They've at least gotten like 14 points, I would say. Like 6 coming from those kills and 8 from the placement. And this is the time to go a little bit more silent. Gaijin actually still in the game, but Triple can maybe make that count. But 1v1v, 2v2, that is going to be so close. We'll find the sideline lot opens.
Guess one, but is it worth it? Was it worth it, Tarzan, when he could have just survived? The blue zone is coming in. They're going to try confirm Cute away. They will grab him, but it's to the hands of Spill. Spill steal it away. Gaijin Lord could not take it. Instead, he only gave away their position. They tried to spray further forward, but they get nothing for it. And it's heartbreak for them and wishing maybe it stays silent in that situation. It's Spill up to 7 points. This is still a comeback for them. Yes, it is only going to be for more money. But Spill, they have all of the momentum in hand. Livco, they're trying to spot him out. Is now as well. It's all this duo, Tarzan. Kelly Boy and Lucreta in the last game as well. The ones to carry in this one as well. They are carrying. They almost take down Livco. They survive another. There goes Septives. Kelly Boy strikes their 8th. Can they strike their 9th? Can they strike that Erangel chicken dinner? It's 1802. They grab it, but it's a distraction. And it's a grenade in the face. It's Spill. They've taken that victory. It's duo, man. They come in as a trio. They divert expectations. Tarzan, you don't need a full squad to win.
Man, like if you asked me 2 phases ago, who would win? And you allow me to pick, I don't know, 7 teams, I still wouldn't pick Spill. And that's how crazy that was. That circle was insane. And that ending was just so interesting as well. You could see the hand. You want to spray him down. Then he still got a teammate and his nade ended you from that same hand that you shot. What a way to really twist it. And we're just down to those 4 games out of 16. I can't believe it. We're so close to crowning those representatives. And it's just really getting to heat up.
So much upset today, Tarzan. That is the headline of absolutely every single game this night. She said 4 more, but I'm also excited to see how those overall standings really play out because, to be fair, honestly, they probably look very even considering, especially for even those teams heading up to that top 5 that we said coming at the really halfway point today, that they could really start to all be only those 5 teams. I don't even think so anymore. I think that now we're coming into a final day where it's again going to be similar story to as that spring split, right? It's going to come down to that last game, those final 5 who grabs those points.
Pretty crazy. Last time we've got some buffer, right? Because to be fair, everyone wants to get to the PMPL. Is a bit harsh like this time round for this season too, but we will still have that 1 squad. And is every tournament, to be fair, down to those 1 or 2 fights. And sometimes you think it's the last game, but a lot of those moments that mattered like happened a few days ago when they swing that momentum and all that stuff. So let's look at those leaderboard. We have TSC Legends still leading the charts. Like after all, they've been getting into somewhat those end game, and that really mattered.
TSC Legends, they are on top though, Tarzan. It's not a strong lead though. It's only going to be 13 points of a lead ahead of 777, but at least there is some lead ahead of then Syrax and Gaijin, also RESQ. They tried to grab the points, but it's again only going to be a 11-point day, I believe, from them so far today. A very disappointing showing considering they could have clearly been on the top still had they just had at least 1 good game. Even to an extent, though, 1802, you could argue that even they are in the line with, if they have those crazy days, TSC Legends, they have a poor day, you could still see them catch up. I mean, it has been a case right now, and I'm not going to knock it, that all of these top 5, they haven't had the cleanest of series so far in these finals.
Yeah, but 777 is on their way up though. Like across the top squads, they were the team that not only have the best day so far with 50 plus points, they've also gotten the much needed chicken dinner. They have not gotten one so far, and it's actually surprising for the way that they played in this group stage. Let's not forget that they were the first seed, like by far, like so strong, and their fight and confidence was by far the best. But now coming in, that is going to change, and it has changed. But this is for them to really continue to prove it. Like Syrax, we know they can bounce, and it's about time. Like Gaijin's coming close as well. Man, I don't know how to think around this anymore. Like RESQ finally got out of the bubble just a little bit, but not quite there yet. 11-point day, still heartbreak.
I also just find it really crazy to the fact that in the last two games, Spill have literally gone from 16th to 10th position. I mean, the money difference in those last two games alone that Lakrita and Kelly Boy have been able to muster for their squad is pretty crazy itself.
It's insane. Like, I think there are certain different ways when you play around with the numbers that can make things always crazier. Like, for example, Arena51, 26-point game. So that means they've gotten 16 points in total in 11 games. That is less than 2 points per game. And that is not... We expect a lot more. I believe they expect it more as well. And sometimes it just take out the human side of you when you're just facing the numbers. But after all, that's what we're looking at. And there are so many things behind that scene, but there were enough that we saw on screen as well to explain why they've been struggling.
I think that it is going to be pretty intense around not only the top side of the leaderboard, but as we said, by Spill rising up, you can see clearly a lot of other teams can do just that. They can actually steal a lot of money away from other squads if they can just have that good one day. And if we all come down to that pressure of that final day, who can show up, Tarzan? That is the question for the same time. Same place tomorrow. Myself and Tarzan will be with you for the final PMCO UK Fall Split season, the final PMCO UK game of this year. We'll see you then.